put Nottingham Forest in the position they have. If it wasn't for him playing, I think another striker might come in, get 6 goals, knock 6 points off their tally. We wouldn't be talking about Forest as sexily as they are at the moment. A potential Champions League finish.
Potential Champions League finish. What a run they're on at the moment. In fact, a great run at home as well. They've won 6 of their last 8 in the league here at the City Ground. They are up against a side, though, today who are unbeaten in 6 on the road. They've also scored in all their 12 games on the road this season as well. That is, of course, Brighton that we're talking about. I wonder what will give. Will it be Chris Wood, who we've just been talking about? He's having the season of his life and has actually scored a career high of 9 goals against Brighton, more than any other side in his English League career. Wow, let's find out how this one goes. You can expect passion. Here's Stuart Pearce, but first Sam Matterface.
Well, the City Ground in Nottingham, nestled in between the River Trent and the famous cricket ground, is the setting for the first of 2 live Premier League games this afternoon on the Talk Network. The January sales may be over in Harrods and Fortnum and Masons, but the winter trolley dash for new signings still has 2 days to go. And there are Premier League teams on the hunt and being hunted. The Saudi Pro League has targeted a couple of the Premier League stars this week, and the clubs are hoping their top men are not on the list of football's latest disruptors of the established order. In the 1970s, that was Nottingham Forest, coming from nowhere to win the League and European Cup, outmuscling the famous Liverpool team at the time on the way. And now they are preparing to stir the pot again. 3rd in the top flight, with the Champions League in sight, and a goal scorer who is so efficient he hardly ever misses. But they were brutally torn apart at Bournemouth last week, and Nuno Espirito Santo will be keen to ensure that those weaknesses aren't exposed again. Brighton have been disruptors of the natural order too. No one recruits as efficiently as they do, and they're gunning for a 2nd European tour. In fact, if they had turned even a 3rd of their 10 drawn matches into wins this season, they would be talked about like Forest. After all, these two have lost the same number of games. Stuart Pearce, the former Forest captain, is alongside me. There's always a danger when a team who has overachieved comes down to earth with a bit of a bump, that it can have a long-lasting effect. How do you avoid that?
Well, you've got to bounce back very quickly. This is one of those games, both teams coming in good form. Forest have got to bounce back after that shock. Well, I wouldn't say a shock defeat last week. It didn't surprise me they got beat. The manner in which they got beat scoreline-wise was a bit of a shock. But at the City Ground, they've got a formula here. They've got a partisan crowd behind them, and they'll be looking to get this victory over the line to keep them in contact with the top teams.
And we've got 2 teams here today that are examples of what promoted sides can achieve if they stick in the division and then build. Brighton have struggled to maintain their early season form. How do they hurt Forest today?
Counter-attack, I think. I think they've got to give Forest a bit of their own medicine, if you like. You know, Forest are happy to cede the ball in many ways, but I think when they get the opportunity to counter-attack Brighton, that's when they've got to get after them, and they've got to frustrate them with their possession play. You know, if Forest are saying that on their own field, we're happy for you to have the ball, I think Brighton have got to starve Forest to death of that ball.
Let's go through the 2 teams then, starting off with a home side, Nottingham Forest, who we expect to start with a back 3 tonight, but anything is possible. They could play with Ola Aina at right back, Murillo, Milenkovic and Morata as a back 4, but I expect them to play with them as a back 3. Murillo, Milenkovic and Morata, Aina at right wing back, left wing back Nico Williams, and then Chris Wood and Anthony Elanga up top. We'll see how it pans out. They've got a little bit of flexibility there. Interestingly, no Ayari and no Belieber for Fabian Hertzler today, so it's Verbruggen in goal, Veltman, Van Hecker, Duncan, Tariq Lamptey the back 4, Ruter and Hinshelwood holding in midfield. Yankuba Minter plays on the right hand side of a 4-man attack that also includes Mitoma. He'll play off the left, having been the subject of 2 Saudi approaches this week. João Pedro and Danny Welbeck leading the line, with João Pedro just slightly withdrawn. Our referee tonight is, or this afternoon, is Simon Hooper. VAR Paul Tierney. Red Garibaldi shirts for Nottingham Forest, white shorts and red socks. And the away side, Brighton and Hove Albion, in yellow shirts with dark blue pinstripes, yellow shorts and socks. Lewis Dunk is their captain, and he and Morgan Gibbs-White are going through the preliminaries before we start the game in front of Simon Hooper. And we will have Brighton shooting from right to left in the first half, and Nottingham Forest from left to right. We've got Newcastle Fulham live on Talksport 2 a little bit later. Right now on Talksport 2, we've got games from the Championship. Plymouth against West Brom is our commentary with Joe Shannon. Oxford and Bristol City also in action, and Watford Norwich too. Later on League One, it's Barnsley Burton, Stevenage against Exeter, and in League Two, Cheltenham against Chesterfield, Gillingham against Notts County. And we will keep you in touch with everything right here on Talksport as the afternoon progresses. We're round the grounds with Adrian Durham at 2:30. And tomorrow afternoon, the Sunday session comes live from Arsenal against Manchester City. But our focus is by the Trent, where they sing the Mull of Kintyre just before kick-off, and just a stone's throw from the river. Nottingham Forest looking to get back on course. A terrific noise, terrific expectation. Let's hope for a terrific game. Nottingham Forest haven't qualified for Europe since Stuart Pearce captained the team to the quarter-finals of the UEFA Cup back in 1995, where only defeat to Bayern Munich halted their progress. Imagine bringing back those days.
Well, that would be sensational for this club. It's certainly, the building process is in place, Sam, and the club are built to do that. The incomings have been really good player-wise, and there's no reason why they can't.
Ball played out towards this right-hand side. Elliot Anderson just wandered into a number 10 position in between the Brighton back line and their midfield. I think that's going to be really interesting to keep an eye on, because Anderson operating in that position with Ruter and Hinshelwood up against him, I think it's going to be interesting to see how much space he gets, because Ruter completely lost him there for a moment. He was screaming for the ball, Elliot Anderson, didn't quite get it. Anyway, Nottingham Forest have possession deep inside their own half with that back three, as we pointed out it would be. Murillo goes up to halfway. Nico Williams playing on the left-hand side, scoops it forward up towards Chris Wu, heads it down into Anderson. Anderson trying to turn away from Ruter, gets it back to halfway, and it's played centrally into Danilo. Good to see him back after 147 days out. Came briefly off the bench in the FA Cup game against Luton, but is back in the team for the first time from the start since the opening day of the season, where he broke his ankle. Long diagonal ball by Murillo out towards his right-hand side, looking for Gibbs-White. It was nudged away by Tariq Lamptey, and Brighton have it deep inside their own territory.
As I say, Forest having the ball early doors, trying to get the momentum of the crowd up, and this is what Brighton have got to do as the away team. Just keep that ball, keep it moving, and try and deaden the atmosphere in here.
Yeah, the Forest game plan is pretty well known now. They won't press you too high up. They're encouraged not to do that. They want you to have the ball as much as possible, and then they want, like a coiled spring, to break really quickly and unsettle you on the counter. Here is Joel Veltman over on the right-hand side. A bargain signing at £800,000 when he first joined the club. Back to Van Hecker, the tall, slender, blonde-haired central defender who floats it out to halfway. Tariq Lamptey takes it on. Then João Pedro dropping deep, exchanges passes with Welbeck. Gets to the left edge of the area, cuts it on his right foot, tries to get the shot away. Blocked by Milenkovic. It's bounced away off the shoulder of Nico Williams after it spiralled off the serve, and then it's cleared to the far side, the right. Back in it will come here from Minte, aiming towards the middle of the penalty area. Morato away, out only as far as Lamptey, who likes to hit it. He then tries to funnel it forward instead. It did look as if it hit a hand of Morgan Gibbs-White, who benefited from a lucky deflection, and then looks to escape and plays it down the right-hand side. And here's that surge forward. Those red shirts coming down the right now with Elanga. Elanga edge of the area. Oh, he's played a poor ball down the right side looking for Olarena. He's overhit it, he's frustrated with himself, the Swede, and it's gone straight out of play and away for a goal kick. It was a good opportunity, that.
It was a great opportunity, and Elanga sets out. He made the pass possible. His energy and drive into this inside right position.
Looks like we've got a game on our hands, with both sides looking to bounce back from surprising defeats last week. There is a potential for this to get a little narky as well. There was a bad-tempered meeting between the two in September when 10-man Forest battled to salvage a 2-2 draw. Both managers sent off in that game. Let's hope for a similar level of passion and feistiness without it crossing the line. And Brighton were involved in quite a fractious end to the game against Everton last Saturday. Nico Williams over on that far side wearing a almost invisible face mask after getting a whack in his face. He throws the ball in down the touchline from the left full-back position up to Chris Wood, who juggles with the ball and takes it away from Hinshelwood. Moves towards the halfway line and then nudges it forward towards the right. He held onto it really well there, Chris Wood. Unlike Forest, Brighton cherish possession, don't they? Only the so-called Big Six have more of the ball on average than they do. Forest possession percentage is only rated 0.1% higher than Everton's. That sort of gives you an indication that they'd rather you have it than they do.
I tell you what I like, what I'm seeing from both teams, why it's such an open game, how they flood players into that front line. Forest at the moment build up at the back, 5 players in the front line, almost going man for man with the Brighton back line there, and Brighton have done exactly the same to Forest in possession.
Anderson again has made a lovely run down that left hand side. He was completely free and he wasn't spotted. He's played it now into the path of Ilanga, who's buzzing left and right. There was a foul, it looked like, on the far side on Nico Williams, but they've escaped here with Minte, Brighton. Williams has gone back and challenged him halfway inside Brighton territory, wide on the right hand side, and the ball's gone out for a throw-in over on the far side. Nottingham Forest 0, Brighton 0, live on Talksport on this Saturday lunchtime, the 1st of February. You can get the January blues away now. Let's concentrate on feisty February, where we're going to bring you FA Cup commentaries galore next weekend. 11 from the FA Cup 4th round. It does stretch over 5 days, the FA Cup next weekend, but it's going to be an incredible weekend of football. Here is Welbeck, lovely little bit of skill on the far side to outwit Williams. He turns it back into Jack Hinshelwood, who himself is only just coming back properly from injury. Now Kaoru Matoma takes it out of the sky and brings it down towards the edge of the area, cuts in on his right foot, needs a bit of support. He's got Minte on the right angle of the penalty area. He controls it, skips past Anderson, goes down the outside, beats Williams, turns back in again. Anderson comes back at it and wins it back for Nottingham Forest and turns defence into attack quickly because he's found Ilanga, who skipped away from Van Hecker, who came out and committed himself. Ilanga scampers forward down the left side, gets to the left angle of the penalty area, needs some support, only Wood in the box. The ball goes back to Anderson, who's now joined, and the attack slows, and Nottingham Forest keep hold of possession inside Brighton territory. 6 minutes gone, but that is the key, isn't it? You know, when they pick the ball up on the edge of their penalty area, very quickly they're at the edge of yours.
Well, they've got ball carriers or ball runners or runners without the ball, and namely Ilanga and Gibbs-White certainly fit that category.
Foul by Murillo, a little bit too eager. Simon Hooper has booked him straight away for that. Well, he had the ball at his feet, played it infield. It was misjudged by Morgan Gibbs-White, and then it came from the wrong side and pulled down Georginio Ruter. I think that's been given, not for the severity of the challenge, Stuart, but because it was breaking up a promising attack.
Which it certainly was. As I say, he's gone past him, he's dragged him back by his right arm and just felled him, basically.
Well, the Forest supporters absolutely love Murillo. 113.7 million from Corinthians. Not even Nottingham Forest, even in their current guys, pay £100 million for anyone. But they certainly have got their money's worth with him. But he has already gone into the referee's notebook. Here is João Pedro. Infield to Hinshelwood as Brighton look to build, attacking the goal away to our line. Right. We're 7 minutes into the game, and it's 64% possession for Nottingham Forest, which is unlike them. Here is Hinshelwood out towards the right hand side. It's picked up by Veltman. Veltman over to the far touchline. Minte takes it on, gets into the area, flips across against the back of Williams. It takes a ricochet and bounces out only as far as the edge of the box, where Minte's wriggling forward again down the right. He's stopped at his tracks by Williams, and he plays it infield, and they look to come forward again. It's still 0-0. You're listening to Talk Sport. Murillo forward, up over the halfway line, and immediately intercepted by Van Hecker, and it's cleared away.
What are your thoughts on Lamptey playing at left back?
Well, he's played well there actually when he's been asked to. He is obviously better at right back, or he's certainly come through the ranks at Chelsea and then played at Brighton mainly as a right back. But he's played a few games now on that left-hand side. He's had to because of the injury to Purvis Estepinian, who's only just sort of come back and isn't 100% up to speed, and missed last week's game with an injury and has missed this one as well. And Veltman's a solid servant over on that far side, playing at right back, where he is now, driving the ball into the centre circle. Back out to Lamptey again on this near touchline. He's good at getting forward. He plays it into João Pedro, looks for a return. Played it infield to Mitoma, got it back again. João Pedro, who loves to operate in that area just a little bit deeper than the main striker, foraging around. He's got it again now on the edge of the box as Brighton come forward. He's tossed across into the box, which is headed away by Murillo. Flicked on by Veltman, but he's actually found Wood instead of Van Hecke, and Lamptey has come across into midfield just to tidy up for Brighton, who've now started to dominate the ball.
Yeah, just looking in front of us on this left-hand side for Brighton, they've got the overload here. João Pedro's come out to join Mitoma and Lamptey, and they're trying to get the overload, which is forcing Gibbs-White back to do a lot of defensive work. If he doesn't do that, all of a sudden Ainya's got a lot of problems on his hands.
Exeter taking the lead away at Stevenage in League One this afternoon. That's one of a few 12:30 kickoffs. Gary Caldwell's team 1-0 up, and they've lost 5 of their last 7 away from home. Exeter, big cup tie coming up on Tuesday night of next week against Nottingham Forest. I say next week's the week after, isn't it? So 10 days between now and then. Nottingham Forest don't have a game in between now and their trip to St James Park. Exeter, ever been there?
I've played down there, yeah. Pre-season friendly, I think.
Yeah, I've been down there a couple of times actually. Quite a spicy little ground here when it gets going.
Yeah, not for many years I haven't been down there. I think I was a West Ham player when we went down there.
Ball thrown in by Olorena down the right hand side. A flick on by Gibbs-White. Further clear by Veltman, collected by Mitoma, who's found João Pedro. It's very tight on this near side, and he's just managed to wriggle away from Danilo. Interception by Anderson, and then a lovely combination between him and Gibbs-White. He looks to escape down the right hand side. Oh, he's kicked by Danny Welbeck, and Danny Welbeck completely misjudged that challenge. That's going to be a foul. I think it's going to be a yellow card for the experienced 34-year-old Brighton forward.
Yeah, as I say, Welbeck's been committed to the tackle. As the players turned, I know what it's like myself, you try to get there, and as they turn, run into a booby trap, but just mistimed it a little bit. I think tolerance should be given for age there, I really do, with Danny. I don't think there was any sort of nastiness within the challenge.
Crook and I met him in a cafe earlier in the season down in Brighton, and we got in trouble for bringing up his age because he's missed so much football. Actually, he's probably got a few more years left in him at the top flight. A little bit like yourself, you know, you felt like you didn't come into the programme till late, and as a result of that, needed extra time. Here's Gibbs-White down the right-hand side. Oh, it's come off the defender. Duncan gone in. Morgan Gibbs-White racing away down the right-hand side. His cross was into the box. There was no one in red apart from Chris Wood inside there, and he was at the back post, and Duncan stuck out a leg and steered it beyond his own goalkeeper, and Nottingham Forest lead by a goal to nil.
Well, as Gibbs-White found himself free on the turnover of possession on this right-hand side, drove into the box. I'm thinking he's going to unload one, give it everything you got at the goalkeeper. What he's done, drove it across the face of goal and said, deal with it if you can, and Dunk couldn't sort his feet out quickly enough. Own goal, Forest 1-0 up.
Well, Lewis Dunk, who was sent off against Forest last season, has scored an own goal which has put Nottingham Forest in front. They were patient there, and Lamptey got sucked in from left back. There was a poor clearance by Hinshelwood. It bounced back down the right hand side. There was space for Gibbs-White. His cross into the box was steered home by an outstretched left foot of Lewis Dunk beyond the goalkeeper, who had absolutely no chance.
Yeah, as you say, Lamptey got drawn in. There was Elanga and Gibbs-White on the same line. He's bumped up beyond Gibbs-White to deal with Elanga, but the loss of possession caught him out.
Well, Nottingham Forest had a really good run before bumping into Bournemouth They've got unbeaten in 9 games. That run took in visits here by Villa, Tottenham and Liverpool, and away days at Brentford and Old Trafford. So they weren't going to be kept down for long. And with their first real attack of this game, after just 12.5 minutes, they've put themselves in front. Lewis Dunk's own goal separates the two teams, and they are particularly good at front running. Only defeat when they've scored first this season was 3-1 at home to Newcastle back on November the 10th. So Brighton have got it all to do. It's a really poor goal to concede. Lamptey getting sucked in initially and not reacting. No one coming across on the cover. The space for Gibbs-White was too big. He ran into it and his ball into the box. Well, Dunk will, I think, will be disappointed with that.
Yeah, he will. Just couldn't sort his feet out quickly enough. You know, he didn't get into an area. He was obviously recovering back towards his own goal, hot side on, but just couldn't sort those feet out quickly enough.
You're listening to Nottingham Forest 1, Brighton 0 on Talksport with Sky Sports. And don't forget that you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on now, like Wolverhampton Wanderers against Aston Villa. Live today, search Now Sports. Here is Lamptey in a deep left-back position, playing it square for Van Hecker. Van Hecker trying to nudge the ball forward and look for Brighton to get on the front foot again. He sends it into the path of Joel Veltman, who takes it down the right touchline, then checks back under pressure from Elliot Anderson, and then into midfield it goes towards Jack Hinchelwood. Hinchelwood, who's been out since November but returned against Everton as a substitute last week. He's very highly thought of, the 19-year-old. Matoma playing the ball in towards João Pedro, didn't get there, and then Hinchelwood trying to tackle Danilo, almost got himself in trouble, but it spiralled into the path of Dunk on halfway. 1-0 to the home team, and that will just add to the boisterous atmosphere inside the City ground. Ruter picks it up for Brighton, right edge of the Nottingham Forest penalty area. He tried to do a little trick there, didn't get away from the first defender, did the second time, then tried to pull it back into the box. Hinchelwood with an effort, cleared off the edge of the 6-yard box by Morato, who managed to funnel it clear. He got a little bit fortunate there, Jorginho Ruter, because he almost outfoxed himself initially. Gibbs-White tussling with Lamptey. Ball goes down the left-hand side, comes back to the byline, only half cleared by Nottingham Forest, but there was a foul by Ruter, who has been penalised this time on the dead ball line away to our left-hand side. It's going to be a free kick to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, just looking at a way for Brighton to get back into the game, if you like, and it's going to come from these wide areas, I think. You know, Forest dropping back into a 5 when they do, but getting the overloads from Brighton with the Brighton fullbacks pushing on, supplementing their wide players.
Well, Forest have been particularly good here. They were the only team to stop them winning in the last 6 games was Liverpool. And they drew 1-1 here. They like to get in front and then they can play their own game. They have gone 1-0 up in 18 of their 23 league games before today, make that 19 in 24 now. That's a particularly impressive statistic.
It certainly is, and statistically you've got more chance of winning those games or certainly not getting beaten, so that first goal in any match is so important.
Here is João Pedro volleying the ball into the path of Minte. Couldn't quite take it in under pressure from Williams, 5 yards outside the Forest box. They've won it back again and now they spring forward with Morgan Gibbs-White being held up by Matoma but managing to get in and win the ball on the ground. He did well there, Morgan Gibbs-White, under pressure from the Japanese international. And it's Nottingham Forest to have possession on halfway, leading by a 1-0. Live on Talksport this lunchtime. Stevenage have scored twice. They're 2-1 up against Exeter now, have a bad away record. Notts County lead away at Gillingham. Their ground just a stone's throw from here. I mean, if you can throw over a river, but it's not too far away. You can certainly see it as you walk up to the City ground, which is full to brimming once again with 30,404 people crammed inside this stand. Away to our right-hand side, 3,000 Brighton supporters in the Bridgeford stand, that stand that you might have seen on your TV, which has that very odd sort of look about it, where it has 2 tiers on half of it and 1 tier on the other half, and this sort of almost cack-handed roof that comes down halfway through.
I think there was a complaint from local residents they would lose their light. That was the reasoning behind that.
Roy Keane used to live in the streets behind here.
Yeah, he did. They had a house behind the clubhouse, behind for the youngsters.
Here is Ruter picking the ball up over halfway for Brighton, striding forward, getting towards the edge of the D. He funnels it into the box looking for Matoma, away by Milenkovic. It was good defending by Nottingham Forest. And now with players committed going forward, Brighton have got to scramble back quickly, because on the hunt once again is Elanga, who's been played in by Anderson. A good forward ball. Elanga runs at the defence. Beltman goes across. Elanga into the penalty area. A left-footed ball towards the far corner. It kisses the outside of the post and goes behind. It was a really good counter-attack from Nottingham Forest. They're so good at this. Bursting down the left-hand side. Anthony Elanga getting into the box, tricking his way to cut in on his right foot. And he almost caressed that into the far corner, Stuart.
Yeah, he's been an absolute handful with these first 18 minutes or so. He drops into sort of wide or deep areas, picks it up and runs at defenders. He attracted 3 defenders. He shot, sort of unsighted the goalkeeper through Van Hecken's legs and just crept past the far post.
So close to a second goal for Nottingham Forest, who lead by 1-0. The goal scored by Lewis Dunk, the central defender from Brighton, who inadvertently steered it beyond his own goalkeeper after a right wing cross from Morgan Gibbs-White. Here is Yankuba Minte on the far side, trying to get into the box. He's outfoxed himself again, and then Anderson has brought the ball clear over on that left-hand side. Anderson's done brilliantly, and he's managed to funnel the pass into Morgan Gibbs-White, who's over the halfway line, and he's got support. He skips past Lamptey, then skips away from Hinshelwood, who leaves the trailing foot out, catches him on the shin, and that's another yellow card.
Yeah, it is. I tell you what's impressed me about this Forest team today. Every one of them is putting in a shift, in and out of possession. Yes, that they're causing problems, and the offensive players, Elanga and Gibbs-White, players you expect to do their best work going forward. Yes, they are, but I tell you what, they're grafting going backwards as well.
It was always going to be a test of character, this, from last week, wasn't it? When they went down to Bournemouth, they got outplayed, outworked. Today they had to come back, and if they're really serious about finishing in the Champions League, just up the intensity again.
Yeah, you're exactly right. These are the games that define your season almost. You know, you go down, you get beaten, okay, that happens. Beaten against a team that are on very good form, that happens. You've got to come back and deliver a performance.
Brighton just having to defend a set piece, which is taken just in front of the centre circle. Murillo heads it across heads the ball towards the far post, and it comes back through Milenkovic towards Gibbs-White. It's cleared away by Brighton. Then it goes out to Aina on this near touchline. He holds on to it, looks up. There's a bit of movement in front of him, but maybe not enough, so he goes to halfway again, and Murillo, left-footed, will drive the ball beautifully out to the far side. Elliot Anderson received it, but was in an offside position. I mean, that was a terrific ball. Brighton have taken the free kick quickly. They want to get the ball up the pitch. They do so with Minte. Then João Pedro, and then it was just all a little bit behind where it needed to be, so they had to readjust, slow the attack, and as a result, the ball has gone out towards the far side, and Brighton have got possession on the halfway line. Breaking transfer news comes from Talksport's chief football correspondent Alex Crook at the Vitality Stadium.
And this could be absolutely huge news, Sam. I know you were talking earlier about the future of Marcus Rashford. I'm told optimism on all sides that a loan agreement can be struck between Aston Villa and Manchester United. The player is open to that move to Villa Park. He's spoken to Unai Emery, and Villa are willing to pay a big percentage of his wages. This one should get done between now and Monday.
Well, that is huge news, and a late swoop from Aston Villa for Marcus Rashford now on the cards. Stuart Pearce saying earlier on today they should pay all of his wages and see what he can do for the next 6 months, and if he isn't good enough, then send him back at the end of it. That's what Stuart's advice was before the game. It looks like Unai Emery is taking that. Elanga felt he was fouled on this near side. What's your reaction to that?
Well, my reaction to that is I'm not sure Unai Emery would take any advice at all from me, Sam, personally. But I think it's good business from Villa. They needed a supplement to come in there to play. Well, he can play in Ollie Watkins' role, or alternatively on the flanks. Really good business. And if the player's got anything about him, he should grab this opportunity with both hands.
Well, let's see what happens, because there is a huge breaking story, the biggest one of the transfer window so far, I think. Marcus Rashford could be heading to Villa Park to play for Aston Villa. We'll follow that with keen interest. Remember, on Monday, whole day of programme dedicated to the transfer window closing, excluding the 3 hours when we bring you Chelsea versus West Ham between 7 and 10. Straight after that, Jim White and Alex Crook will be presenting a live programme taking you through the deadline with Dara McAntony right the way through till 1 o'clock in the morning. But don't worry if you want the sports bar that night, because that will be on Talksport too. So we've got every single angle covered in regards to your football entertainment this Monday evening. Here is Dunk after almost Bart Verbruggen got caught out playing a short ball into the Brighton captain from the back. He kicks it clear this time to the halfway line, and it's headed forward by Milenkovic. Drops in midfield. Hinchelwood falls over as he heads the ball in the air, and Gibbs White will then lollop the ball out towards the left-hand side where Williams is arriving, but Wood has got there first, and Wood tries to get away from Van Hecker, but coming across on the cover, Yankuba Minte manages to slide in perfectly and nudge it behind and away for a corner to Nottingham Forest. Good break.
Yeah, it certainly was. It was Hinchelwood loose with his sort of hold-up play, if you like. Lost possession once again, as he did for the goal. And Wood set up. I thought he was giving it everything with his left foot. He sold a dummy to me. I went for a hot dog, dragged it inside, and a good recovery challenge.
Mustard and ketchup on that?
Oh, everything. I had the onions, the whole lot on. I fell for it, hook, line and sinker.
Interestingly, by the way, Marcus Rashford, if he does go to Aston Villa on a loan, won't be able to play in the final game of the season when those two meet. Here's Gibbs White in towards the near post. He's flicked on, and it's in. Brilliant. Ola Aina with the cross. Gibbs White with a flick on at the near post. Goalkeeper missed it, and it's in off the bar from the corner, and it's 2-0 to Nottingham Forest.
Well, I've got to say, they paid the penalty, Brighton, for giving the ball away on 2 occasions. That one went for a corner from the resulting corner. Brilliant run by Gibbs White across the front of the goal, marshalled by another one of his Forest teammates who just offered a shield. His glancing header, Verbruggen got a touch on it, could not stop that going in. What a start for Forest.
2-0 Forest, the corner from the far side, whipped in by Alanga. It's headed across the face of goal by Gibbs White. It's not the greatest of headers actually from Gibbs White, but the speed on it takes it beyond Bart Verbruggen, who couldn't react in time. And he did get enough of a push on it, but only could push it into the roof of the net.
I tell you what, I never disagree with you, but I'm going to on this occasion. That was a brilliant header. I think he done everything right. He offered the pace of the ball, helped it on its way, guided it. He was beyond the front post. I think it's a wonderful header. Yeah,
actually, on second reflection, the replay behind the goal looks like he didn't get proper contact on it, but actually when you see it from the far side, it gets up in front of the defender so brilliantly and glances it in. But here's Minter at the other end, trying to get Brighton on the front foot, and he tries to slide the ball under the goalkeeper, but Sells comes out and makes a really good save. Two very impressive involvements from Morgan Gibbs White have put Nottingham Forest firmly in the front seat.
Certainly have, and it was a giveaway of possession there by Danilo this time for Forest that put Brighton on the attack, and the one-on-one, fantastic save by the goalkeeper, I've got to say.
Brighton turn it over, it's picked up by Minte, getting to the edge of the area. They tried to do too much with it, again got to the edge of the box, he carried it really well. There were options to his right and left, didn't use them, and then wandered into traffic, got involved in a scrap and gives the ball away, and it's going to be a free kick just in front of the penalty area away to our left hand side. Nottingham Forest 2, Brighton 0, live on Talksport. Morgan Gibbs White with the second goal, he set up the first as well, and it's been a brilliant start for Nottingham Forest. Yeah, it certainly has. The tempo of this game is absolutely wonderful. It's a joy to watch, and João Pedro there, he's just give Minte an absolute piece of his mind. Ripped him a new one actually by the looks of it for not passing the ball. I'm not surprised, because he travelled with it really well. He had support left, right and centre, so he had three options, didn't use them, and as a result ended up giving the ball back to Nottingham Forest to lead here by 2-0. 28 minutes gone, live on Talksport, and Morgan Gibbs White is on the ball again, and he's elevated it out towards the left-hand side into Williams. Williams with a chance to cut in, gets it onto his right foot, drives it narrowly wide of the left-hand upright. That would have been a cracking goal from Nico Williams. Another really good Forest move, switching the ball from right to left. It was taken out of the sky by Nico Williams, who travelled along the 18-yard line, hit it right-footed towards the left corner of the goal, and he was only inches wide.
I think he hit the post. I think that's cannoned off the foot of the post, you know. Incredible shot. I think we've just got a replay in front of us now. I'm pretty sure that's hit the post. It was an incredible strike. Cut inside, unloaded it. It's hit the foot of the post, all right.
The outside of it, yeah, as it's going past.
I was asked the question over this last month about Forest, obviously with my connections. Can they maintain it? Can they maintain it? You say yes, you think they can. I hadn't seen them live. I tell you what, for a little while, I've seen them live today, and wow, this is a performance.
Yes, they're on the march again here. Aina into Wood, Wood edge of the area, right-footed shot right down the middle of the goal. It's tipped over the top by Verbruggen, and it's away for a corner. Well, they sense blood here, I think. Nottingham Forest battered down at Bournemouth, but they are turning the tables on Brighton.
Yeah, I mean, 2 weeks ago we sat at St James's Park and looked at this Bournemouth performance, which was fantastic. I'll tell you what, Forest over 28 minutes or so have delivered an equally good performance. Absolutely outstanding.
A lot of their success comes from Chris Wood. He's so efficient, doesn't take too many shots and hardly ever misses. That's a rare shot on target from Chris Wood that hasn't ended up in the back of the net, and it's only because of the athleticism of the goalkeeper. Anderson in towards the near post, flick on by Gibbs-White again. This time it's headed clear from inside the 6-yard box and breaks to the left-hand side. It's taken away from João Pedro, who then turns and runs over the halfway line and continues to drag Brighton up the pitch. But look how quickly Forest get back into shape. 6 players behind the ball within a matter of seconds.
You're right, that's the mark of a team that are doing well, those recovery runs.
Mitoma on the left, the low ball into the box, comes back out to Tariq Lamptey, who shapes it towards the far corner, but he was leaning back and it goes well wide of the goal. Nottingham Forest 2-0 up against Brighton. For the latest odds, you can head to Betfair, the official betting partner of Talksport's Premier League coverage, where right now you can get Forest at 6-1 on to win the game, Brighton 14-1, the draw 11-2. That is all thanks to Betfair, who are paying out winning bets at 90 minutes with 90-minute payout guarantee. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org. Well, he only needs one more goal, Chris Wood, for his best ever Premier League tally. He's currently on 14. He has scored more goals against Brighton than any other team, so you would expect him to get something from this. And at the moment, Brighton down to 10 players because Kaoru Mitoma is just getting a new pair of contact lenses. Down the right side, Ola Aina comes forward. Ilanga challenged by Lamptey but gets away down the right, produces a cross. Here's Chris Wood, there's his customary goal. Rising high at the far post, nodding it beyond Bart Verbruggen. And after getting battered by Bournemouth, the tricky teams are turning the table on Brighton and Hove Albion. Chris Wood with a customary goal, a header from 5 yards out to steer it beyond Bart Verbruggen, and Brighton have got a problem. They've got a big problem. It's Forest 3, Brighton 0.
Well, I've got to say, Brighton started fairly brightly after 5 minutes, and then from that moment on, Forest have took the mantle. They have been absolutely sensational. This is one of the best performances. Every time I turn up of recent weeks, I keep saying this is one of the best performances I've seen in the Premier League. What a performance, what a cross, and Wood has just rose. I thought this was way over here. Wood has done absolutely brilliantly, rose really well, hung at the far post, nodded it down 3-0.
I thought initially offside. I thought he'd just gone a little bit early, and I was looking over to see if the linesman had raised his flag, and actually now it does look as if we're going to get a VAR check here, because he did just slightly look as if he'd gone a bit early. They're now putting the lines on the pictures at Stockley Park, and we haven't got a feed of that monitor, but they are checking the goal for a possible offside. I mean, it's a minute infraction if it is one, but it does look very tight.
I think he'll be on. I'm having that call on the angle we've got, which isn't a direct angle. I think that Dunk's left foot's going to keep him onside.
Let's see what happens. Dunk was on the near touch line, trying to challenge Anthony Ilanga. Alanga's crossed towards the far side where Wood had just gone a little bit early. Yeah, I think you might be right here, Stuart. That left foot of Dunk might end up clearing him. Paul Tierney and Sean Massielis are in the VAR room today, just trying to ensure that there is the right coordinates placed on the lines that are mapped out on the grass. But a lot of the supporters inside the stadium are suggesting that they can see it with their naked eye that it's going to be okay. If it is okay, 3-0 is one hell of a scoreline before we've reached 35 minutes. If it isn't, then maybe Brighton will be able to use this as an opportunity to try and dust themselves down and go again. But at the moment, Nottingham Forest are firmly on top in this game.
I've got to say, Sam, sometimes when it's 3-0 this early in a game, you turn around and think Brighton have been awful. I don't think Brighton have been awful. I just think
Forest have been great.
Forest have just blown them away.
It is onside, and it is onside by about a yard. Because when they've measured it, the two lines that came out, there was a huge amount of daylight between the two. It wasn't even close, Stuart.
No, it wasn't. As I say, we had a sort of faulty angle. The screen angle that we got wasn't a great angle. But even looking then, you thought that maybe Dunk was keeping him onside.
3-0 to Nottingham Forest. And Hertzler has been humbled. And those Brighton fans behind the goal, away to our right-hand side, look disgruntled, disappointed, and now need their team to produce a miracle to get back into this game. And apart from last week's trip to Bournemouth, they've conceded goals, don't get me wrong, Nottingham Forest, but they don't concede 3 in one game very often.
With the work rate that they've got, if they can maintain this work rate, Forest, not only will they keep a clean sheet, they'll certainly go on and get more goals. Every player's putting a shift in out of possession. That's the most impressive thing for me.
2 minutes 7 seconds that VAR check after the Chris Wood goal. If they are to get back into this game, Brighton need to get one very quickly. Here's Hinshelwood. Edge of the penalty area is Ruter. He works it out to Minte. Minte has got to try and conjure something here. He flicks the ball into the box. It's headed away by Milenkovic. His header wasn't superb. It's away by Aina, who reacts quickest. It goes out for a throw-in down by the left corner flag. You're listening to Nottingham Forest, who lead by 3-0 against Brighton on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has 450 branches with all the vehicles your business needs. Here on the left-hand side, João Pedro producing a cross. Minte with an effort. He's bobbled up off the turf and is stopped by Matt Sells, the goalkeeper. He pushes it away, and Nottingham Forest have possession once again. Oxford United 0, Bristol City 0, but Bristol City down to 10 men in the Championship. Our live game on Talksport 2 is 0-0 between Plymouth and West Brom. Watford 0, Norwich 0. In League 1, Barnsley 0, Burton 0. Stevenage 2-1 up now against Exeter, despite conceding the first goal in that game. And in League 2, Cheltenham 0, Chesterfield 0. And Notts County are 2-0 up away from home at Gillingham. And Notts County, who have taken a lot of points recently, are in the lead. Here's Alanga in behind the defence, trying to get away from Dunk. He gets a half-hearted shot towards goal, and it's into the arms of Bart Verbruggen. Another straight ball right through the middle, and Brighton are caught out, and Nottingham Forest get a shot on goal.
This is why Forest are doing so well. Alanga's pace in behind, magnificent. He goes beyond. Brighton try to start a new attack. Chris Wood straight away, straight back, drops back into a midfield position, starts defending. That's why they're doing so well.
Because they're working as a team.
Oh, incredible.
37 minutes, Nottingham Forest lead by 3-0, and this will take them, should they continue in this vein, level on points with Arsenal. With Arsenal having a game against Manchester City tomorrow, they'll be just behind them on goal difference. Here is Hinshelwood. Infield it goes now to Lewis Dunk, who sends it wide out to Mitoma. Mitoma just hugging the left touchline, looking to take on Aina. Looks to try and squeeze through a tight gap. Is blocked. Anderson will get it and nudge it down towards Aina again, who flicks it between his heels. Is blocked by Dunk. It goes out for a throw-in on this near touchline. Remember that breaking news we brought you in the last hour, and that is that Marcus Rashford has tentatively agreed a transfer to Aston Villa. He's on the verge of joining them on loan from Manchester United. optimism on all sides of the negotiations that a deal can be done before Monday night's deadline. Here is Matt Sells clearing the ball through the middle of the pitch, straight up to Wood, who holds it up, shrugs off Van Hecke. Van Hecke gets back at him, does well, nudges it through towards Ruter, who pokes it up to Welbeck, edge of the area, gets it out of his feet, shoots and scores. Surely. Well, he looks at the watch, the referee. The ball hit the crossbar, it came down. I thought it went behind the line, but the referee says no goal, it didn't go in, and it comes straight back out and it's cleared away. I mean, it looked for all the world like Jeff Hurst 1966.
It certainly did. I mean, this game's incredible. You think 3-0, but Brighton pushed and pushed, got the opportunity there. Danny Welbeck done absolutely everything. Opened the goal up, used the player as a curve, round him, and he couldn't have done any more. That ball smashed the underside of the bar, down. The goalie's got a touch on that, by the way. What a brilliant save.
Yes, the goalkeeper got a tiny little fingertip which took it onto the bar. It came down. Most of the ball was over the line, but not all of the ball was over the line, Stuart.
Well, I'm not sure I've seen so much action in such a small space of time.
Here's Mente down the right-hand side trying to get into a crossing position. It's blocked by Murillo and it goes out for a corner. And Brighton with another set-piece opportunity, trying desperately to try and get something, a foothold in this game before we reach the half-time break. 39 minutes on the clock. Nottingham Forest 3, Brighton and Hove Albion 0. Live on Talksport on this Saturday lunchtime with Adrian Durham's Round the Ground show from 2:30. Ball left-footed in towards the near post, headed away by Morato. A big strong header by the tall Brazilian. And it goes back towards the left where it's headed away by Aina, and then he couldn't really escape this time, and Morgan Gibbs-White picks it up and looks to bring it forward. Nottingham Forest 3, Brighton and Hove Albion 0. Aina forward towards Ilanga, but he didn't get his ball right this time. Watched by Dunk, who intervenes, turns it over, and we're back going the other way again. And it hasn't really been a moment's peace for either defence. It's been attack versus defence pretty much at either end at any point in the game.
It certainly has. The energy in both teams, you know, probably more so Forest, but in both teams showing great energy. Brighton have had their opportunities to counter-attack, not really found the finish. Every time Forest have had that opportunity or a giveaway of possession, they've made Brighton pay.
I mentioned it to the guys on the breakfast show, Alan Brazil and Ray Parley yesterday, about the efficiency of Nottingham Forest, that they score with almost every shot on target at the moment. And I mean, that hasn't quite been the case today, but whereas they are very good and cool-headed in front of goal, I think when they've got into decent positions, Brighton, they've wasted those efforts. I mean, Danny Welbeck's effort from the underside of the bar aside, the Minte experience, Ruter getting to the edge of the area and just extra touches.
Yeah, those two individuals have probably been the ones that have been most costly for Brighton, but the way the Premier League is, the way football is nowadays, even at 3-0, you think if Brighton get a goal back, anything can happen.
In towards the near post, and Danny Welbeck goes towards it on the edge of the 6-yard box from Minte's cross and almost glanced it in at that near post, but it's stopped by Matt Sells. I say that they haven't been as efficient as they usually have. They've had 4 shots on target and scored 3 of them. That's pretty efficient.
That certainly is. I think you've set the bar pretty high there if you say to me that's not efficient.
Yes, they've been very efficient again today, as they always are, Nottingham Forest, with their shooting. And they lead by 3-0. This is Talksport. And the expected goals figure is quite interesting, because Brighton's is 0.6 and actually Nottingham Forest is 0.97. But the scoreboard says Nottingham Forest 3, Brighton 0, and we're into the last 3 minutes of the first half. Brighton in yellow, bringing the ball forward again from the halfway line. Jean-Paul Van Hecke. Here is Veltman to Minte, hugging the touchline on the far side, nudging it infield now. Brighton have hit a bit of a sticky patch after flying out of the box. It's only 2 wins in 11 games. It's left them playing catch up a little bit. They've had injuries, has disrupted their goal output, but they just haven't been able to get over the line in games that on paper you'd expect them to make more of an impact in. And it is goals, I think, that's cost them. Here on the right hand side, Veltman trying to steer the ball in towards the near post, away by Murillo. Although today I'm sure Fabian Hertzler won't be entirely happy with some of the defending, in particular I think from the set piece which led to the second goal.
Yeah, as I say, they give the ball away, and sometimes you can get away with that. Other times you can't, and it ends up in the back of your net, and they've really paid a high price, I think, today for giveaway of possessions.
Ball clipped over the top looking for the run of Minteh, headed away and watched well by Murillo, the strapping Brazilian centre-half, headed down by Van Hecke. Wood thought he'd got away there, was being held by Veltman. The referee has allowed play on, and the Nottingham Forest fans didn't like that over on the far side in the Brian Clough stand. But we do play on Talksport. Here is Hinshelwood, just travelling inside the centre circle. He's played it back to halfway, and then it's Van Hecke, and then out to the right and Veltman. Veltman now trying to carry it forward, and he then has to turn and go back because Nottingham Forest is so well deployed. Their troops are back and defending well, with all the gaps plugged, no holes for Brighton to exploit. And this is perfect scenario for Nottingham Forest, who are quite happy defending, by the way. They'll sit back now and just allow Brighton to have the ball. Here is Van Hecke clipping it forward up towards Mitoma, who engaged first, glanced it well wide of goal, and it's out for a goal kick away to our left hand side.
Well, I've got to say, Sam, just prior to the game, I was asked to meet Olivia from Chicago, 21-year-old, come over here with her family, never left the USA before, saw Forest on telly and said, this is my team, this is her first ever game. I said, I hope you have a good game. Wow.
Certainly worth coming over from Chicago for, I would have thought. Just having a look at the replay of the Danny Welbeck no goal, where it doesn't quite go over the line. I mean, let's just say 7/8 of the ball are over the line. Amazing. 4 minutes of added time at the end of the first half. A tackle by Aina is not punished by the referee. Lamptey stayed down. Nottingham Forest look to break. Here is Morgan Gibbs-White scything forward. There's confirmation of those 4 added minutes at the end of the first 45, of which we've just reached now. Murillo back in field to Danilo. Danilo to Murillo again. Lamptey back up and back in position for Brighton and Hove Albion, who trail here by 3-0. They were unbeaten, remember, in 8 games before they lost to Everton last week. And their problem has been actually not winning enough games when they've been good in them and drawing too many. Today they've been well beaten by the ruthlessness of the goals from Nottingham Forest, even though they've been in the game. They've dominated possession of it, they've had opportunities, but Nottingham Forest have just been precision in front of goal. And Nico Williams has just taken a whack. Alanga's down as well, and they'll just eke their way to half-time now.
Yeah, they've been a very, very slick, hard-working machine, Forest, and very clinical at the front end of the team as well, to get themselves 3-0 up. Takes some doing in any match, but do they deserve it? Yes, they probably do, for the work rate they put in and out of possession.
Well, it does remain 3-0. Chris Wood's got 15 Premier League goals this season. The only players that have got more than him, Isaac Hyland and Mo Salah. He's in good company. Bristol City down to 10 men, 0-0 at half-time with Oxford. And they had Joe Williams sent off early in that game. Plymouth 0, West Brom 0 is just heading up to half-time on Talksport 2. Norwich leading Watford by a 0-0 away from home. And they had Vacuum Bio sent off in that game, Watford, after just 35 minutes. In League One, Barnsley and Burton still 0-0. They're just approaching half-time there. Stevenage came back from a goal down to lead Exeter at the break by 2-1. And in League 2, 0-0 Cheltenham Chesterfield and 2-0 Notts County lead Gillingham away from home. Here is João Pedro over on the left, getting towards the edge of the penalty area, twisting and turning and trying to find room behind Aina, who does brilliantly. Had a bad game actually, Ola Aina down at Bournemouth. He wasn't the only one, but I think that was pretty apparent. Today he's been nothing short of terrific.
Well, Aina's dealing with Pedro here, and who's back with him alongside him? Gibbs-White, running there, chasing him back, making his fullback's life a lot easier. And little interactions like that are so strong for a manager.
Into the third of 4 added minutes. Low ball in towards the near post. A poor corner delivery. It's helped away by Nottingham Forest, but only as far as Lamptey again, whose second delivery into the box wasn't great either. It's only half cleared by Danilo, but it's fallen kindly for Gibbs-White, who in the middle of the Forest half looks to scamper away. Joel Veltman holds him up, but Gibbs-White, so persistent, managed to get it into Elliot Anderson, who is fouled by Veltman this time. There is a free kick just left of the centre circle.
Yeah, once again, every time Forest pick the ball up, no matter how deep it is, you always got a feeling that someone's going to wriggle or run or find a pass.
There's an energy about them, Stuart, isn't there? An energy, a passion, a desire to get hold of the ball, to stay on the ball, to make sure that they are going to get brushed off it, they're going to win a free kick in the process. You know, there's a real commitment to the cause from these Nottingham Forest players. They've been incredibly impressive, I think. Here is Elanga going forward, tucking it infield. Danilo sends it wide to Aina once again. We've almost played our 4 minutes at the end of the first 45. And the ball goes back to Morato. And a change of system today in response to what happened last weekend. They've certainly had a good first 45 minutes. Listen to the roar of the Nottingham Forest supporters at the break. At the beginning of the season, suggesting either one of these two could be contenders to qualify for Europe might have seemed a bit of a stretch, but in the battle of the disruptors, it's Nottingham Forest who head into the break in supreme control. Lewis Dunk's own goal after 13 minutes set the tone. Gibbs-White with a cross which was deflected behind. He then escaped his marker at a corner to glance in at the near post for 2-0. Chris Wood with a customary goal for 3-0 after just 32 minutes. Danny Welbeck thought he'd got a goal back when he hit the underside of the crossbar, but it came down just the wrong side of the white line, and as a result at half-time it's Nottingham Forest 3, Brighton 0.
Sam Matterface, thank you very much indeed. I mean, Stuart Pearce, they're your former side. I know you have so much love for this club, where you spent many years actually, but we were talking about how excited we were to see this game. We weren't sure which way it was going to go, but I mean, you predicted a 2-2 draw. How impressed have you been with your former side today?
Well, listen, 2 weeks ago I thought Bournemouth's performance was as good as I've seen this season, aside from probably Liverpool's performance in Europe against Real Madrid. That performance, that energy level, both in and out of possession, was as good as I've ever seen. Every player's on top of the ground, they're working for each other, they're clinical at the front end, they've been incredible with their finishing, and it's almost the perfect performance. I don't think, probably the biggest recommendation I can give Forest, I don't think Brighton have played badly.
No.
And they've absolutely blown them away, Resh.
They look so well drilled, everyone knows their job, even with a change of shape, a slight change of formation, they've all taken the instructions, and that forward line is performing incredibly. Okay, there was the unfortunate own goal from Brighton's side, but it set Nottingham Forest up. Morgan Gibbs-White, Chris Wood and Anthony Elanga. Look, we've been talking about this breaking news today, Marcus Rashford potentially making a move from Manchester United. You look at Anthony Elanga, since leaving the club, he's been directly involved in 24 Premier League goals, another 2 assists today. You've got to give him a shout as well.
I think arguably he's been the best player. If you said to me now and pinned me for who's been the best player on the pitch, I would probably say Elanga. He's carried the ball from his own half into the opposition's half, run at defenders, he's run behind without the ball. He's been a massive threat, and I'll tell you what, he's worked tirelessly for the team as well. He's dropped back into position when he's had to and fill in for players, and I've got to give, Gibbs-White has done the same as well. He's right in front of us, Gibbs-White, and he's sprinted back to help his fullback as much as he's sprinted forward. Incredible performances.
Yeah, the work rate is incredible. And another note for Anthony Elanga, he's provided 9 assists for Chris Wood in the Premier League since the start of the season. That is the most outright by any player. What a performance he has put in, as Stuart rightly says, the entire team. Big job for Brighton then in this second half. That is coming up after this.
Game day exclusive on Talksport with Sky Sports. Stream Sky Sports Big Weekend, including Wolves vs Aston Villa live today. Available with no contract on Now. Search Now Sports. 18 plus. Stream via internet. Terms apply.
Joe decided to cycle more this year, and now has all the gear But while he insists on wearing skin-tight spandex for premium aerodynamic gains at 11 miles per hour, his wife's just happy it all disappears into their new wardrobe. Visit IKEA for all your bedroom storage needs. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
Need more workwear? Well, Screwfix now has even more choice with a bigger range, more brands and more sizes. Need more options? Get the perfect fit with shoe sizes from 2.5 up to 16 and clothes sizes from extra small to 4XL. More brands? We've got big names you love like Hunter, Puma and Dickies. Want even more? We've got new wellies, safety wear and workwear from Muck, Timberland Cat and much more. Shop more on the app, online or in-store at Screwfix.
You don't just check in to a village hotel. You work out. You jump in. You play on. You tuck in. And drink up. Village Hotels. 33 locations with everything under one roof. A huge gym with pool and great membership opportunities. And a buzzing pub and grill with delicious food, ice-cold beers and live sport. Check out villagehotels.com and work out, stay, meet and play.
$1.29 at McDonald's gets you a mini Oreo McFlurry. $1.29 on a big night out gets you...
Sorry, no trainers.
McDonald's Saver Menu. Actually get your money's worth. From 11 a.m. Price and participation may vary. Price varies on delivery. Subject to availability.
At Betfair, we're about finding different ways to play. Like with our 90-minute guarantee. We've all been there. The clock ticks over into 90 minutes, and then a speculative cross into the box ricochets off a knee and goes in, ruining your bet. But with Betfair's 90-minute guarantee, if your bet is winning at 90 minutes or full time, we pay out. Betfair. Play different.
Applies to match odds 90 market or markets with the 90 icon. Sportsbook exclusive. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus BeGambleAware.org.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Watching the big game cozied up in the snug.
Another 7-0 win!
Balmy summer nights with the kids playing on the lawn.
We're playing real-life football!
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of April 2024 and 30th of June 2024 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
The transfer window is open, so let the chaos begin. Get the ultimate football coverage with the Sun's free pull-out goals. With the best writers pitchside for in-depth match reports, it's all about goals. And with unrivaled news from the Premier League to League Two, it has to be goals. Stay up to date on all the latest football action. Get your free copy of Goals every Saturday, Sunday and Monday, only in the Sun.
Game day exclusive on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has vans of all shapes and sizes, so if you've got a plan, we've got a van.
The Talksport Superstar Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling. Just a reminder, I'm back with you at 6 on Monday morning in the company of Super Ali McCoy. The world's best connected morning spectacular. First and fast for football every morning on Talksport. Talksport Superstar Breakfast.
Brilliant. Best in the business.
Oh, I believe it. Back Monday morning from 6 on Talksport. Superstar Breakfast. Here we go.
Yes, Superstar Breakfast, but this is game day exclusive every single Saturday live on Talksport. Hello and welcome. Hope you've been enjoying the first half here at the City Ground. I'm Reshmin Chowdhury, and at half-time it is Nottingham Forest 3, Brighton Hove Albion 0. What a game here. A clinical performance from Nottingham Forest. Nuno Espirito Santos' side, I should say, bouncing back from that 5-0 hammering against Bournemouth last weekend. Brighton with plenty of work to do going into this second half. Over on Talksport 2 in the Championship, the latest is Plymouth 0, West Brom 0. Elsewhere, Oxford United 0, Bristol City 0, Watford 0, Norwich City 1. Watford as well down to 10 men, I believe. In League 1, it's Barnsley 0, Burton 0, Stevenage 2, Exeter City 1, and in League 2, Cheltenham 0, Chesterfield 0, and Gillingham are trailing Notts County, the away side, by 2-0. Okay, As I say, it's been a breathtaking first half at the City Ground. Fantastic one if you're a Nottingham Forest fan, or just a neutral trying to see how far they can get in their hunt towards a place in the European places. So with all of that in mind, let's get the latest from Betfair, the official betting partner of Talksport's Premier League coverage.
Game day on Talksport with Betfair. Get a completely free bet on multiples or bet builders this Boxing Day. Opt-in and previous deposit required. Max free bet varies from £1 to £10 per customer. Minimum odds and T's and C's apply. 18+ gambleaware.org.
Sam Rossbottom, did we predict a 3-0? What are the odds for that, if you'd put your money on that?
That Forest will want to bounce back from their disappointment last time out, and so far so good for the Forest fans. I mean, can they let a 3-goal lead slip? It's looking unlikely. They draw currently 16-1. Brighton to turn this around completely, 80-1 to win. So, I mean, looking unlikely, but hey, this is football, right? If Brighton are going to get back into this, then you would think that Danny Welbeck would be someone who would be involved
key,
in a comeback. He's going to be key. I mean, he had one, didn't he? Off the bar, goal line technology came to the rescue of Forest there. It was so close, but we've odds boosted Welbeck to score any time. That was 3-1, now 7-2. And I did mention him before the game, and you were chatting about his performance in the first half with Stuart Pearce there.
Yeah.
But Anthony Elanga's been across everything, hasn't he?
He's at the heart of absolutely everything, isn't he? He
certainly is. He's got 2 assists. Can he get on the score sheet himself? He's currently 6-1 to score any time, and the way he's playing, I certainly won't put it past him.
Yeah, absolutely, and he'd probably deserve it as well, wouldn't he, with the run that he's on at the moment. What about Sam's charity bet? Because I don't think it's really going to happen at the moment.
Yeah,
it all could change, though. It all could change.
It
stands, it's not happening.
As things stand, it's looking pretty tricky. I mean, we've got a bet builder on. We backed the draw. We backed Jorginho Rutter to score an over 3.5 goals. So out of those selections, I'm most confident in over 3.5 goals, to be honest with you.
Yes, exactly.
But look, if it does come off, we backed that at £50, our charity stake, and that will return £1,066. We backed it at just over 20-1. So look, if Forest crumble in the second half and it ends up in a draw and Rutter scores, then lots of money going to the Bobby Moore Fund. So fingers crossed an entertaining second half.
And I feel like it is going to be an entertaining second half, and as we know in football, Sam, anything can happen. So let's see how this one goes. Sam Rossbottom from Betfair, thank you very much as always for joining us. That odds update is all thanks to Betfair. Returns accurate as of 10 minutes ago. For verification, see betfair.com. Over 18s only, conditions apply. You can go to begambleaware.org.
Game day on Talksport with Betfair. We're paying out winning bets at 90 minutes with 90-minute guarantee. Applies to match odds. 90 market sportsbook exclusive. T's and C's apply. 18+. Gambleaware.org.
Right, following us at 2:30, as ever, is Adrian Durham. He'll be taking you around the grounds with all the goals as they go in the EFL. Here's at the Vitality for Bournemouth against Liverpool. Adrian, how are you doing? It's been a busy midweek, hasn't it, with all the European fixtures? And here we are, straight back to the Premier League.
Yeah, my brain is just recovering from working out the maths of the Champions League on Wednesday night. So
thank God for the app, by the way, because otherwise I wouldn't know anything.
What app?
They didn't tell you about the app.
Some of us worked it out for ourselves anyway, Rishman. Come on.
You got there in the end.
You rely on technology, it might go wrong. And what a game. Listen, I was at Bournemouth for the 5-0 against Forest last week, and I'm back at Bournemouth for the game against Liverpool this afternoon. Bournemouth 11 unbeaten.
It's a hot place to be at the moment, isn't it?
It is, and there's some great football as well. But Liverpool beat Bournemouth 3-0 earlier in the season. They got 3 quick goals in the first half. But actually, the game was a lot closer than the scoreline suggested. Even Arne Slot said that afterwards. So tactically, I expect Bournemouth to give Liverpool a game. But you just always sense that Liverpool will have just that little bit too much. I can't see them battering Bournemouth 3-0, but I can see them edging this one here today.
You were about to say a stat when I interrupted you. Bournemouth unbeaten.
Bournemouth unbeaten in 11, Liverpool unbeaten in 18. So unless it's a draw, something's got to give today. Something's got to give today.
I do fancy a really fascinating game over there. I don't know. I'm liking Bournemouth, and I mean everyone is liking Bournemouth. I love the surprises that this team are putting on everybody. I love the work that Iraola is doing. I don't know, at home against Liverpool. Liverpool have been in action midweek.
You know that the
whole
word
week to work.
you've used there, surprise, is absolutely spot on. So Semenyo was brilliant for a few months earlier in the season, and then you got Justin Kluivert gets a hat trick, and then Ouattara gets a hat trick. There's surprises popping up all over the pitch. You got Lewis Cook going at fullback and being brilliant. Tyler Adams coming into midfield. You're not expecting him to be strong, and he is. You know, there's just you're absolutely right. It's bang on that word. They signed Housen, the centre half teenager. He's sensational on the ball. He's so good. So
they have done their work and their research into these players so intricately, and everything for the moment seems to be bearing fruit. That's why, I do feel like this is probably sort of one of the big games of this Saturday, of course, but I don't know, I fancy Bournemouth to do something, but I'll be interested to see how that one goes. You're the lucky fella down there. How is the atmosphere at Bournemouth, the Vitality, actually, considering it only holds 11,000 people on these big Premier League games? What's it like down there?
It's brilliant. I mean, it's a proper noise because it's a contained stadium, if you like.
Yeah.
So close to the pitch as well. Brilliant noise. Not just this one today. You got games at the bottom. Everton against Leicester, Ipswich, Southampton, big games. You've got Troy Deeney, Dean Ashton. Both of those were round the grounds. All the goals, full classified Jack after 5. You know how it works on a Saturday afternoon.
I know how it works on a Saturday afternoon. It's going to be brilliant. And as you say, Newcastle against Fulham is live on Talksport at 3 p.m. as well. Adrian, great to talk to you.
Cheers.
As always, thank you very much. Okay, here on the pitch we can see Nottingham Forest are out, Brighton are out, and it looks like there's going to be a change for Brighton, actually 3 changes for Brighton. I believe Sam Matterface can bring us up to date for that just as the second half is about to kick off. Fabian Herzler 3 goals down at the moment, so he's bringing on 3 new players to see if they can make the difference for Brighton today against Nottingham Forest.
Absolutely, and 3 changes that have sort of been made on one side of the pitch, really. Matt O'Reilly coming in for Jack Hinshelwood, who had a tricky first 45 minutes. Simon Adingra comes on for Jean Pedro, who didn't really sort of make as much of an impact, just off Danny Welbeck, but veering to the left. And Kaura Matoma, who's been taken off for Diego Gomez, who comes on after signing in the window from Paraguayan football and a spell at Inter Milan, where he was a teammate of Lionel Messi. 12.5 million quid from the MLS. Paraguayan international Diego Gomez is on, and he is going to play just off Danny Welbeck in this second half. Adingra's gone out to the left-hand side. Minte will stay on the right, and Matt O'Reilly has come into midfield to play as the deepest lying of those midfield players. So we'll keep an eye on the Brighton formation, but he had to make a statement, had to make a change, didn't he, at half-time?
Yeah, he did. As I say, sometimes, you know, when the team walk in 3-0, there's an expectation you've got to do something. They've got to match Forest work rate for a start. I'm surprised Pedro come off. I thought he'd done okay, to be fair.
Here is Adingra left side, trying to find a ball into the box and look for the run of Welbeck or Lopez. A tackle by Dunk sets the tone, and Lamptey comes down the left-hand side and skips past the defender. It goes out for a goal kick. Lamptey is accused of a dive over the legs of Morato, and Simon Hooper neglects to book him and allows him to go back into position in the left full-back position.
No, I think really good refereeing there. He's let the first challenge go, didn't deem it as a foul. And Lamptey at full flight, I think he's waiting for a challenge to come in. He's gone to ground. I don't think he was expecting a free kick himself.
Yeah,
good referee.
Bounced back up straight away, didn't he? But it certainly wasn't a foul by Morato. And it's with Matt Sells away to our right-hand side. Just 2 minutes into the second half. Nottingham Forest 3, Brighton and Hove Albion 0. So the two teams look like this. Sells is the goalkeeper for Nottingham Forest. Murillo, Milenkovic and Morato are the 3 central defenders for Nottingham Forest. Aina on the right hand side, Williams on the left, Anderson, Gibbs, White and Danilo in the middle of the park, with Alanga supporting Wood. And for Brighton and Hove Albion, who are all in yellow today, they've got Bart Verbruggen in goal, Veltman, Van Hecke, Duncan, Lamptey the back 4. And Lamptey, who had a difficult first half, has got to deal with Aina here, but Aina has got away from him, gone into an advanced position, now being trapped by Adingra. Adingra going across to put pressure on Aina. It goes out and away for a corner, throw in by the corner. Yankuba Minte playing on the right-hand side, Adingra now on the left, O'Reilly as the sitter in midfield with Diego Gomez and Ruter just behind Danny Welbeck in attack. They've got to try and somehow disrupt Nottingham Forest's back line and get back into the game, get a foothold in this game, Brighton. They've just got to defend this opportunity which has come from the throw-in, lofted in by Danilo, it goes over the head of Milenkovic and then thrown out by Bart Verbruggen. Should they be going for damage limitation though, Stuart Pearce?
Well, what is damage limitation, say I? You know, you've got to try and get back in the game. Try and get
from the edge of the area. And it's well wide of the goal, but he skipped into an advanced position, shot from the edge of the box, and it was wide of the posts.
You've just got to chunk it down, I think. You've got to turn around and say, can we get the next goal? I think anything happens in the Premier League if you get the next goal. They're 3-0. This game looks dead, finished. If Forest keep doing what they're doing, Brighton have got no chance of coming back in the game. If Brighton get that next goal, all of a sudden momentum shifts very quickly in football.
Well, the City Ground was host to an absorbing 3-2 win for Brighton last season. 5 goals, 2 penalties, a sending off of Lewis Dunk for the use of foul and abusive language. I bet there was a bit of foul and abusive language in that Brighton dressing room at half-time. He usually goes off when these two clash, but there's only one team that have gone off so far. Here is Ruter trying to tussle away from Anderson, who's been really good in this game. Forward by Murillo, headed away by Van Hecke, down by Matt O'Reilly, and he guides it back into Van Hecke's path, and they start to build again. It might have been an admission of making a little mistake from Fabian Herzler as well. The idea of putting Jack Hinshelwood straight into the midfield after such a period on the sidelines. Then he came back as a substitute against Everton. Did struggle in that first 45 minutes. Here is O'Reilly looking to spring Adingra through the middle, but Milenkovic comes across and just snaps him out before he can get on the end of it. A bit better from Brighton, that.
Yeah, it certainly is. They've got good energy, trying to get back in. Good build up there. Lamptey getting good advanced positions.
He was at fault for the first goal when he got sucked in. The second goal he lost his man at the corner, and the third goal he got into a tussle with Elanga, and Elanga emerged with the ball for the cross that went into Chris Wood. So he's had a very difficult day, Tariq Lamptey, so far. There's still a long way to go for him to make amends, and he's on the ball down that left-hand side now, trying to get towards the edge of the penalty area, feeds it into Lopez, then looks for the return, comes back to Lopez, who skips away from Morato, tries to get down towards the corner, shrugs him off, produces a cross into the box, it goes over the head of everybody and almost comes through towards Minte. Minte down this left-hand side, low ball into the box, and Welbeck tried to flick it up and keep it under control, but Murillo was there, and still Nottingham Forest at the moment just can't get out of their own half of the field, and long comes Minte again for Brighton. Centrally is Matt O'Reilly. O'Reilly looking to get space for the shot. He clips the ball into the area. It wasn't the greatest of balls, but I think Aina went to reach that when he didn't need to, touched the top of his toe with the ball and goes behind for a corner.
Yeah, he probably didn't need to do it, but O'Reilly sort of got caught in two minds, got his pass really wrong. But if you're Aina and it's up in the air, you're turning yourself round, you think there must be a player running in behind. You can't play a ball that badly so far away from anyone.
Seen some good comebacks from Brighton already this season, including the game against Tottenham Hotspur and the game against Manchester City. But to come back from 3-0 down and get anything from here would be amazing. Here's the corner, left-footed in towards the near post, away by Milenkovic. It drops into the area and still not clear. Morato's head is not a crisp one. It's forward back towards Welbeck, who's blocked off by Milenkovic. And it goes straight into the arms of the goalkeeper, Matt Sells, who's been a major asset this season. And we've already seen his athleticism making that save from Danny Welbeck, tipping the ball onto the underside of the crossbar and keeping the scoreline at 3-0, which is what it is as we go into the 52nd minute of the game.
Well, in a game that's 3-0 to Forest, that they've been very, very comfortable, Sells has made the tip onto the crossbar and a one-on-one save. Really important saves at important times of the game.
Yeah, well, that's been the story of his season, Stuart, hasn't it? He's been so good in those moments. Here is Ruter, picking it up in a nice pocket of space and trying to skip away from a couple of challenges. This time he distributes the ball well out to Lamptey. Lamptey with a poor ball into the box, but it's fallen kindly for Adingra, who cuts in on his right foot, tries to get away from Morato. He's bullied by him, has the possession robbed from him, and Danilo manages to clear, but again it's going to come straight back from Brighton. 3-0. to Nottingham Forest on Talksport with Sky Sports. And don't forget that you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on now, like Wolves against Aston Villa live today. Search Now Sports. Morgan Gibbs-White had such a tough afternoon down at... Oh dear, what is Verbruggen doing? A short pass towards the left which goes straight to Dunk, but he didn't get much purchase on it and almost invited pressure from Wood. Yeah, Morgan Gibbs-White had such a tough time down at the Amex Stadium when he was sent off. If you remember the situation, he got sent off after Rob Jones had said he'd got the ball. It was a second yellow card, and then Anthony Taylor, the fourth official, intervened and said no, he didn't, that was a sending off. I think when you look at it, it was a second yellow card, but it really irked the Forest fans that Rob Jones had indicated that he got the ball, and then he was eventually sent off for a second yellow card. And they had to fight to get back into that game. Here is O'Reilly on the left-hand side for Brighton, who are fighting to get back into this game. Forward it goes into the penalty area, and Adingra now on to Lopez. Now O'Reilly again. Back to Lopez. Diogo Lopez just trying to nudge it forward. He finds the feet of Yankuba Minte on this near side. He twists onto his left foot, produces a cross. It's a decent one to the far post, but Olaina was there. It's won back by Lamptey. Lamptey inside the area, but he's used his hand to bring that down. And the referee spotted it and has given a free kick to Nottingham Forest. You're listening to Talksport. We're live at the City Ground in Nottingham on the banks of the River Trent, with Trent Bridge Cricket Ground just across the road from us here, and Notts County just across the river. A sporting town, and with sporting hope of getting into European competition at the end of this season. And they will be pleased to know, Nottingham Forest, that history is well on their side in that regard, Stuart. No team has managed 44 points at this stage of the season and ever finished out of the top 6.
Well, I think a European place will be brilliant for Forest. Having watched them today with the energy, the drive and everything they've got, a Champions League place is certainly not out of the estimations.
You remember that last European campaign, 94-95 under Frank Clark?
Yes, I do. We had certainly Collymore fired us into Europe and then left for Liverpool, but we had some good players within the ranks and playing extremely well.
That was a terrific run at the end of that season, wasn't it, where you, I think you went on a 13-game unbeaten run in order to get into European competition. Collymore scoring goals, Brian Royce scoring goals as well, you thumping in free kicks, penalties and other goals too. Ball into the box on the right-hand side. And the day that European football was confirmed that year, I know you boys would have hit the dance floor somewhere. What 90s club would you have gone to in Nottingham to celebrate?
Well, that would have probably been the Black Orchid on the ring road there, potentially.
Yeah, I was thinking that would probably
Rock
be
City
the case.
for a bit of live music, obviously, given.
Yeah. Take That had a famous number 1 at the time. Can you remember what it was? I didn't think you would. Blur's biggest song of 1995?
Boys and Girls.
No, Country House, close. And Oasis released a famous album. Ball into the box looking for Welbeck, who's challenged from behind there, goes down. Now, the Brighton fans behind the goal asking for a little bit more. Milenkovic and Welbeck certainly clashed. I thought that was a head injury. The game now has been stopped. The Brighton players think that should be a penalty. And Welbeck is certainly looking as if he's feeling the ill effects from it. The VAR might have a look at this, Stuart.
Yeah, I think they will. And I'm going to answer both. You're going to say, was that a penalty? And I'm going to say, definitely, maybe.
It's the wrong album. The ball came out. It kicked off the back of the heel of Welbeck and into the sky. Milenkovic went to challenge him for it. And he sort of run into the back of Welbeck's head there. I don't think that's a penalty, actually.
No. I'm with you on that. I think it was almost an accidental clash of heads, if you like. One head's coming backwards, the other head's going forward. I think he's caught Milenkovic's teeth, has sort of bit him on the back of the head almost.
I don't think there's enough evidence to overturn it. But what is going to happen is that Fabian Herzler is going to get a yellow card for mouthing off at the fourth official. No penalty, so we'll go off to team news at our 3 o'clock kickoff, starting off at the Vitality Stadium in Bournemouth, where Talksport's Alex Crook is waiting for us.
Well, this is nice and straightforward. Bournemouth named the same 11 that hammered Forest 5-0 last time out, and after resting their big stars in midweek, Liverpool also unchanged from their last Premier League lineup. It's Bournemouth against Liverpool.
Off to Goodison Park, Matt Jones.
2 changes for Everton, both enforced by injury, as Calvert-Lewin and Mangala face spells on the sidelines. Beto and Garner come in for them, while as a welcome return for Hermansen in goal for Leicester. He's missed the last month through a groin injury and replaces Solarchek. It's Everton against Leicester.
Thank you very much. All the goals as they go in with Adrian Drum from 2:30 this afternoon. Join us for that one. Nottingham Forest have seen a few goals already, 3 in that first 32 minutes. Welbeck is back on his feet. He feels he was fouled. The referee, Simon Hooper, denied that. The VAR refused to look at it. So we continue, and I think that's probably the right decision from Simon Hooper and his assistants. Herzl is still very upset by the whole thing, and he's in the face of the 4th official, Tony Harrington, asking him why that wasn't considered. I think the problem is here is you had that clash of heads the other week down at Brighton's Amex Stadium, where Saliba gave away a penalty when he went to approach the ball, missed it and headed the back of João Pedro. So you can understand after seeing that why Fabian Herzl is asking for a penalty, but I must admit I think the two situations are slightly different.
Yeah, I would say so as well. And what makes me say that, if Danny Welbeck was stood still, let's say, Milenkovic has come straight into the back of him and head-butted him or clashed with him, I would have said maybe more of a penalty. What's happened is Welbeck's sort of backing off to deal with the ball. Milenkovic is coming forward, and I think it was more of a coming together.
Yeah, it was just a clash, I think, between those two. Let's go off to St James's Park. Ian Danter is commentating live on Talksport 2 this afternoon as Fulham are the visitors. Dan, what's the team news?
Unchanged, Newcastle United after they came from behind to win at Southampton last time out in the Premier League. One change for Fulham, enforced on Marco Silva. Harry Wilson's got a fractured foot, out for 10 weeks. Adama Traore comes in for him. That's the only change from the loss against Manchester United. Live at 3 on Talksport 2, it's Newcastle United against Fulham.
Veltman floats the ball into Welbeck back here at the City ground. To Dunk, then heads the ball back to his goalkeeper as it's cleared away by Nottingham Forest, and Langer went to chase it down, and it was eventually hacked clear by Verbruggen. Welbeck's got it. Minte's made a run down the right-hand side. He's onside according to the linesman. He gets into the edge of the box and then goes on the outside, tries to get the better of Williams, but again, he's got to move that ball faster because Nottingham Forest aren't going to give it away. Well, they've given it away here inside the box. He's taken a deflection. He's gone behind. It's scooted into the side netting. They're not going to allow him to have that many touches inside the penalty area. There was a mistake there by Elliot Anderson, I think, but because of the doubling up, because of the fact that those players are getting back so quickly, when he gets into that advanced position, he's got to release it quicker, hasn't he?
He certainly has. It's almost, as he's manipulating the ball, you don't feel as though he's got a plan in his head about what he's going to do. You know, he's just waiting for something to happen, rather than understanding what he's going to do with the ball.
And he almost got a bit fortunate there. Here is the corner. O'Reilly to take it. There's a bit of a collision inside the box, and O'Reilly will get it back again. He quickly tries to fend that back into a dangerous area, but only succeeds in giving it to Morgan Gibbs-White, who leads the charge out of defence now, and then plays it out towards this near side. Wanted it back from Elanga. Elanga didn't touch it back to him quick enough, and as a result it goes out for a throw into Brighton. And Brighton have had all the ball in this second half. You would probably expect that at 3-0 down and making 3 changes, that they would come out stronger in the second half. They certainly have done that, but it remains Nottingham Forest 3, Brighton and Hove Albion 0. On Talk Sport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car, whatever the mission, home or away. Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day.
Yeah, the amount of games you see sort of very one-sided up to half-time, and that half-time break is quite a leveller for both teams, and certainly Brighton have come into this game a little bit more.
Yeah, he doesn't hesitate to change things if they aren't going well for him at the break. Fabian Herzl, who last week sacrificed Brian Gruder for Jorginho Ruter. They've won it back here, though. It's a poor clearance out by Morato, and Jorginho Ruter's tried to feed Welbeck. Again, the ball wasn't crisp enough, and Murillo has brought it clear. He's gone charging out of defence, but Ruter has stuck with him, and back on the halfway line produced a tackle that puts it out and away for a throw-in on this near touchline. But there's a reason they absolutely love Murillo. He's played in almost every game in the Premier League this season. The only exception to that was when he pulled up in the warm-up against Everton, but he has been a terrific find for 13 and a bit million quid.
Well, the crowd on their feet applauding him, and the song of "You'll Never Beat Murillo." Certainly in my day that was a portion to Des Walker, and if you're in that company you're doing something right.
Yes. Veltman gets away from Wood. Wood wanted a foul, referee said no. Des Walker, the speediest defender in the West back in the day, in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, played in the team that Stewart was in here at Nottingham Forest and for England as well. And that was the chant, "You'll never beat Des Walker." Here is Elanga down the right hand side, speeding forward, gets the ball centrally, and Wood taps it home for his second goal against Brighton this afternoon. And surely now there's no coming back from this. Nottingham Forest lead by 4-0. Elanga tricking his way to the dead ball line. He centred the ball. Wood wanted it more than anybody else. He scores a poacher's goal to finish off Brighton and Hove Albion. And after last week conceding 5, they scored 4 at home against Brighton and Hove Albion. It's Nottingham Forest 4, Brighton 0.
Well, Brighton, as we said, have come out at half-time, looked like the team in the ascendancy, and then all of a sudden Elanga picks it up. Dunk thinks he's done enough, giving himself 2, 3, 4 yards grace, trying to track the run. Elanga goes in the box, gets the touch-line, pulls one back, and Wood, with his sensibility, where should I be when this comes across the face of goal? He knows where to be. The easiest of goals he'll find, but you've got to be in the right place at the right time, Sam.
27 goals in 40 Premier League appearances since Nuno Espirito Santo took over this football club. Chris Wood, take a bow. His best ever Premier League scoring season, without doubt. And Nottingham Forest could be having their best Premier League season since Stuart Pearce was their captain. 4-0 against Brighton, and for all the possession, all the play, all the promise that Brighton have shown getting up to the penalty area, it's Nottingham Forest who have gone on. Here on the right hand side, Minte getting to the edge of the penalty area, poor ball forward. Ruter tries to rescue it and continues to run. They have made a substitution, they've taken off Danilo and brought on Dominguez here. Nottingham Forest, who lead by 4-0. Let's go off to Portman Road, because a really huge game down at the bottom of the table. Southampton the visitors for Ipswich, and Mike Sewell will be presiding over it.
Ipswich Town have made 4 changes. Muric replaces Walton in goal. Enciso, Kayuste and Broadhead also start. Southampton make 3 alterations. Ramsdale is back in goal, and there are debuts for Wellington and Albert Grunbach.
Thank you very much. Mike Sewell, keep you up to date on Adrian Durham's Around the Ground show. Game day live from 2:30 this afternoon. 5:30, the guys taking your phone calls on the full-time phone in 03717223344. And then there's big boxing tonight. Adam Azim in action this evening at Wembley, and Adam Smith, Spencer Oliver, Adam Casserole, Gareth A. Davis and the gang will bring you all the action. 7 o'clock Talksport 2, 9 o'clock on Talksport tonight. That big boxing action, and Azim is absolutely incredible, and let's see if he can continue that tonight. Here's Gibbs White combining with Wood on the edge of the area. He hits a shot which takes a deflection and goes behind for a corner. Certainly Gibbs White Wood is a combination that's been fruitful for Forest.
It certainly is. I tell you what, I think it was Gomez there, decided to run with the ball. It's the last thing you need to do against this Forest team that to a man are tracking you down, sprinting at you. Gibbs White put him on his backside, took it off him, played a 1-2 and got his shot away.
Fabian Herzler reviewing action on an iPad down in front of us, where his team start to try and find a way to defend this corner. A few Brighton fans have seen enough, and they've already headed out of the away end. Only a trickling of them. Corner comes in from the near side. There's a push inside the box. Gibbs White goes down. Penalty.
Dear, oh dear.
Well, it doesn't.
It's Lamptey. What is Lamptey doing? He's not looking at the ball. He's facing his man. He's grabbed hold of him. He's cuddling him. He won't let go of him. and the referee's got absolutely no choice but to give a penalty.
Well, he's had a terrible afternoon, I'm afraid, Tariq Lamptey. You don't want to single out individuals, but he was at fault for the first goal by getting sucked out into midfield and leaving Gibbs White behind him. The second goal, he lost him at a set piece. The third goal, he was part of the tangle with Elanga, which ended the cross into the box with Wood. The cross from Elanga's coming from the right side for the fourth goal, where he should be on the left for Brighton, blocking that channel. And now he has had Gibbs White round the waist on the byline as the cross has come in, and he's fallen on top of him. There was no other decision that Simon Hooper could have given other than a penalty. It's been a day to forget for Tariq Lamptey. And interestingly, 4 of the 6 Premier League penalties that Forest have been awarded have been against Brighton since being promoted to the Premier League. Brighton have conceded their last 12 Premier League penalties faced since Jason Steele's save from Brendan Johnson against Nottingham Forest in April 2023. Chris Wood has the chance to score a hat-trick against the team that he helped once upon a time get promotion from League One. Wood with 2 to his name, places the ball on the spot, runs back to the edge of the area, then sets up, right-footed, down the middle. It's a hat-trick for Chris Wood. It's a 5-star showing for Nottingham Forest. And 3 points in the bag on the hunt for a European place, which is looking ever closer. Chris Wood has scored more goals against Brighton than anybody else he's played against in his career, and today he is having a field day. So are Forest. It's 5-0.
Well, Brighton surge after half-time, give them a bit of a lift, and 2 quick-fire goals by Forest. Absolutely incredible. 5-0. And if you wanted to bounce back from last Saturday's drubbing at Bournemouth, you've certainly done it in the right way.
Well, they've completely cancelled out that goal difference, haven't they? Okay, it was a battering, it hurt. You dust yourself off, you move on. Well, they've done that and some, haven't they?
Oh, they've done more than that. They certainly have. I mean, it's been some performance.
It really has. And that's 12 goals in 32 appearances. 12 goals in 24 appearances against Brighton. He scored against Brighton for Millwall, for Leeds, for Burnley and for Forest. And it's 7 goals in 6 games for Nottingham Forest. An impressive run of form for Chris Wood. Murillo's gone just to the ground here, needing some treatment. The last thing they need is to have a problem with him. Willy Bolly has immediately got stripped and ready for action. I hope that's nothing more than just a precaution, Stuart.
Well, put it this way, at this stage at 5-0, you would make the substitution end of, I think there's no need at all to take it a chance.
How chastening is this going to be for Brighton and Hove Albion to lose 5-0 in these circumstances in a game which is against an opponent which you would have thought was in the same sort of zone as them? Yeah. And if you go back over the course of the season, Nottingham Forest have lost the same number of games as Brighton. Brighton actually, if they'd turned a couple of those 10 draws into victories, they'd have been up there and thereabouts with Forest.
Yeah, you're right. As I say, it's a tough one to swallow, but you've made the odd mistake that have been punished clinically in the game from Brighton's point of view, and you've been beaten by a side and a performance that has been absolutely magnificent, I've got to say.
It's his second hat-trick under Nuno Espirito Santo, the first in that game against Newcastle at the end of last year. Off comes Murillo, on comes Bolly, on comes Jota Silva, off comes Morgan Gibbs-White. He left the game against Brighton early down at the Amex Stadium, but not of his own volition. Today, Morgan Gibbs-White leaves the field to a standing ovation, Stuart Pearce.
He's been brilliant today. I don't think I've seen he's an advanced player, I'd say more of an attacking player, but the shift he's put in defensively to help his teammates, to help his fullbacks to track back, he's made us more challenge defensively as probably anybody on the pitch. And, he's been absolutely magnificent, and on top of that, he's been brilliant going forward.
It's certainly the heaviest defeat that Brighton have faced this season, and it may well be the heaviest defeat since they lost 6-1 to Aston Villa a couple of seasons ago. I think it was back in the early part of the 23-24 season, September I think. They lost against Aston Villa 6-1 that year, and certainly this is the biggest defeat since that day for Fabian Hürzeler and for Brighton and Hove Albion. And this is going to sting, but it's going to fuel those discussions about Europe for this brilliant Nottingham Forest team, this great Nottingham Forest team that are really good to watch as well. And people say that they sit back, and yes they do, but they don't play turgid football. They excite and thrill you when they go on the counter-attack, and they're coming forward here with Elliot Anderson, who tries a little back heel to Elanga. It was a little bit casual and it was cut out by Veltman. It's given away, and Wood again back in that midfield position, just trying to block up the channels as Brighton look to counter-attack. It's currently Nottingham Forest 5, Brighton 0 on Talksport. The latest odds are available at Betfair, the official betting partner of Talksport's Premier League coverage, where right now you can get Welbeck to score any time 13-2, Elliot Anderson to be shown a card at 16-1, Elanga to score any time 11-1, and that's all thanks to Betfair, who are paying out winning bets at 90 minutes with 90-minute guarantee. Terms and conditions do apply. 18+, BigGambleAware.org.
Yeah, we're 23-24 games into the Premier League, and prior to this, if asked the question, will Forest get in a European place, having come here today and witnessed this on the back of how they've done this season, I'll be astounded if they don't, Sam.
Willy Boly is just about to celebrate his 34th birthday, joins that back line and just guides the ball back to Sells. Morato's gone from right centre half to left centre half, with Milenkovic now positioning himself in the centre. Chris Wood actually did get another hat-trick this season, but it was for New Zealand against Samoa in World Cup qualifying.
They all count, make no mistake.
Yeah, but for Nottingham Forest that is his second in the last year since the arrival of Nuno Espirito Santo. It was, as I mentioned earlier, Newcastle away very early in the Nuno Espirito Santo tenure.
I was at that game as well. Remember it well.
And you're at two games today, aren't you? You're at this game and you're going off to Warrington, I understand, for the pre-season Super League.
Yeah, certainly. We got Toby King's testimonial tonight at Warrington, 5:30 kick-off. So if anyone's in the Warrington area and fancies coming to watch, Warrington are playing Lee Leopards.
Super League season about to get underway again very shortly. A couple of weeks. Stuart will then spend his weekends dovetailing his football and Super League loves, usually in most of the gear from the Warrington Wolves shop. We've got an injury here to Anthony Elanga, although you do look very smart today.
Yeah, to be fair, I wish I had my Warrington coat. I've got to say, it's a bit chilly. I've underclubbed slightly, but I've made the effort.
We're just waiting for a Elanga decision here, whether or not he's going to come off or he's going to stay on. He's getting treatment away to our right hand side. Remember, we've got lots more football commentaries for you later on today. Newcastle against Fulham, Chelsea West Ham Monday night, and Middlesbrough Sunderland as well. Two great games for you Monday night. Burnley Oxford on Talksport 2 on Tuesday. Wednesday night, big night of action. I'm going to be at Newcastle Arsenal. What a game that could be. In fact, Stuart's coming with me to St James's Park on Wednesday.
I think that could be some game, you know. I think Newcastle obviously got the ascendancy 2-0 up, but I think Arsenal will come there and they'll fancy their chances.
And then on Thursday night, Liverpool against Tottenham. What a game that is. Jim and Troy Deeney going to be bringing you the action from Anfield. We're back underway. Elanga is off the pitch, about to come back onto it. So Forest momentarily down to 10 players. There's 13 minutes to go, and Nottingham Forest lead Brighton by 5-0. The heaviest defeat in the offing for Brighton in 18 months, and another big moment for Nottingham Forest. It's a terrific victory for Nuno Espirito Santo and his team. Just the medicine that they desired after what was a really tough trip down to the Vitality Stadium last week. I think this is the first time that they have scored 5 goals this season. Yeah, it is. Nottingham Forest. Chris Wood with 3 goals to his name, will be very happy with his tally so far this season. 17 for the campaign. He's up there now with Isaac, I think, level.
Yeah, it's been some tally, and he's played such a part in this resurgent Forest side.
Here it is Williams managing to clear it away, up towards Wood. Van Hecker allows it to bounce, always dangerous, and Wood wins the second ball as a result. Jota Silva takes over. He's got it now on the left-hand side. Elanga didn't spot Minte coming, but Jota Silva got it back anyway. Nico Williams is pushed to the floor, free kick, and it's probably born out of frustration, I think, from Jean-Paul Van Hecker for that challenge. Stevenage now lead by 4 goals to 1 over on Talksport 2. Plymouth 1, West Brom 1. Norwich still 1-0 up away at 10-player Watford. Bristol City down to 10 players, but 1-1 with Oxford in the Championship. And in League 2, Gillingham have got one back against Notts County. It's 2-1 with 8 minutes to go. It's still 0-0 Cheltenham against Chesterfield.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of frustration in this in the ranks of the Brighton players at the moment. They've got to make sure they don't compound things, and I think from Nuno's point of view, he's going to be pulling 1 or 2 off and making sure there's no injuries in his ranks.
Yeah, I think Wood will come off soon. Here's Elanga's delivery towards the far post, and it's a tricky one to deal with for Verbruggen, who had to leap out to his left and make a save. And actually there were a lot of red shirts running in on that, and not many yellow ones, Stuart.
No, indeed there wasn't. It was a great ball in, just probably slightly too near the goalkeeper, but 3 players bearing down on him.
Awonyi and Sangare coming on, and I think he's an incredibly talented player, Sangare, and I think that they'll be delighted to have him back, because he's been out for a very long time. Only returned to training this week. He's been out since August with an injury. He's about to come on in the middle of the park. Ball is out over on the far side with Ola Rayner of Nottingham Forest, who lead by 5 goals to 0 after a bruising display. And Brighton, who have been brutally beaten up here, have got to lick their wounds, because they've got big fixtures to come over the next few weeks. And they get to play Chelsea in the FA Cup and then in the league twice. That game, the second game on Valentine's night, is live on Talksport. Southampton away, Bournemouth at home, Fulham at home, and then Manchester City away next for Brighton. They've got a bit of a back-loaded fixture list here, Nottingham Forest. Arsenal and City still to come. And only 2 wins this season have come against sides currently in the top half of the table. This will make it 3. But that is Manchester City and Arsenal games coming here before the middle of March. And they could be key now. And certainly they might decide whether or not Champions League football is the next stop for Nottingham Forest. Off comes Elliot Anderson, off comes Chris Wood, on comes Ibrahim Sangare, and Taiwo Awonyi enters the fray. But it's Chris Wood that they want to honour, it's Chris Wood that they want to support, it's Chris Wood who has stolen the headlines. Him and Gibbs White have been nothing short of brilliant today. And there's every reason for the supporters of Nottingham Forest to stand on their feet and show their adoration for their 17-goal striker.
Well, this football club's had some wonderful centre forwards in its time. Collymore, Woodcock, Birtles, to name but a few. But I tell you what, that performance this afternoon was absolutely wonderful from Chris.
And the other thing about it, Stuart, is that he always had confidence that he could score goals in the Premier League, but he's going to probably end up getting 20 for the first time in a top flight season at the age of 33. And we write players off, don't we? We used to write them off when they got over 30.
Yeah, we used to. Maybe his levels of professionalism, what he stands for as a professional footballer, low maintenance professional. He has been like that all his career.
Here is Awonyi moving forward now down the right side, looking to just poke it through to Jota Silva. Doesn't work for him. It's cut out by Brighton, and Brighton trying to move the ball forward. Talksport with 8 minutes to go at the end of what has been a very satisfactory day for Nottingham Forest and their supporters. And they've conceded 7 goals in the last game and a half, Nottingham Forest, the same number they conceded in the previous 9 games. But they've been back to their belligerent best at the back today. And they go to Exeter live on Talksport on the 11th of February. They play Fulham away after that, Newcastle away, and then those 2 big games against Arsenal and Manchester City here. They're going to be terrific encounters, I think, Stuart.
Yeah, they certainly will. It won't be easy for the likes of City and Arsenal coming here. If they play in this manner, they'll give anyone a game. Might even be a squeak for an FA Cup run.
Yep. I think that Manchester City game is live on Talksport. I think it's at 12:30, actually. Here is O'Reilly towards the far post. A little bit heavy and it goes out.
It is, and I'm covering it.
That's me and you then, isn't it?
Yeah, really looking forward to that one.
And Reshman's going to come to that one as well.
That's nice of her.
Unless she gets ill again. You know what she did last week when she just had about 7 days off or whatever it was. Only joking, Resh, and being playful. Although we were a little bit disappointed with her today because she didn't bring all of her equipment, did she? I mean, the day that you needed it.
We needed the blow heater, to be fair.
Yeah.
And it didn't turn up.
Well, must do better. Ball cleared away. From the right side by Matt Sells up over the halfway line. It drops into the left wing position. How will Fabian Hürzeler deal with this defeat? What's he got to do? Because this could be quite damaging for Brighton, I think.
Yeah,
We'll come back to it in just a second because Elanga is skipping past Veltman and then Williams is trying to get the ball across into the centre. It's blocked from Van Hecker and into the arms of the goalkeeper of Verbruggen.
I think sometimes as a manager it will hurt at the moment. I think when he looks at the game next week he'll realise how good the team were that he was playing against, how clinical they were as well, and sometimes that tempers your mentality. Yes, his team, and he'll look at it from a critical eye, they've made individual errors, let's say, and it's been costly, but it has been so costly.
It has, and I think there will be a little bit of criticism that comes Brighton's way eventually if they don't end up getting into the European places this season. Yes, they've got a new manager. Yes, he's 31. Yes, they've had a lot of injuries this season, but they've got a huge squad. They spent £200 million, sensibly, it must be said, in the summer, and I think they were expecting more this campaign.
Yeah, probably because of the financial outlay, that would be fair.
I mean, they didn't sort of break the bank because they'd earned that money by selling other players, so it was fair enough that they spent it, and they spent it sensibly. But I think they've got a big squad now, and people will be expecting just a little bit more from them.
Yeah, the expectations gone through the roof at Brighton, and rightly so. It's a very sensible, well-run football club, and to be fair, I think even if they're in a position where they're sort of mid-table, just above mid-table, and don't achieve those European places, I still think it's a step forward for that football club.
Yeah, maybe they'll learn with Fabian Hürzeler this season and then attack it better in the second season with him in charge, especially with some of the recruitment that they've done. I wonder sometimes if you've got... It can be a little bit difficult if you've not got European football and you've got a host of players that you can't use every week when you're trying to find the right formula, if you've got maybe sometimes too many players to pick from, which is sometimes difficult. Ferguson has come off the bench and he's getting involved now for the first time. He's gone up front for Danny Welbeck as Jorginho Rutter comes forward, and the free kick has been given in favour of Brighton, just 5 yards outside the box. What they won't want to do now, Nottingham Forest, is concede a goal at the end of the game.
No, I think with Hürzeler as well, listen, you get to this is an unforgiving league in many ways, and you can suffer bad results on occasion, but it's a brilliant learning curve for him this year, I think, and I think he'll be a stronger manager for it next year, even though he's got good experience.
He was at St Pauli before he was the manager of Brighton and Hove Albion. Ball about to be placed down by Matt O'Reilly. Diego Lopez is standing just left of it as well. This free kick is at least 4 or 5 yards outside the D. It's just a shade right of centre. There's a 5-man wall which is just inside the 18-yard box, and it includes Sangare and Awoniyi as bookends. It's hit by O'Reilly into the far corner and it's stopped by Sells. who rises up with his right hand and tips it over the top of the crossbar. There's a flying save from Matt Sells, the Belgian goalkeeper. A left-footed effort from Matt O'Reilly, and he's had to be called into action on a couple of occasions, Sells, and he's delivered. Yeah. Corner taken quickly in towards the near post, flicked on by Ruter, and it's behind and away and out for a goal kick.
As I say, Sells has done brilliant there. I think he left too much space to his left-hand side. The free kick was a really good one. Good whipping, just dipping under the crossbar, and that's the third good, solid save that this goalkeeper's made in a game that his team have won 5-0.
Well, that's been happening all season. They beat Wolverhampton Wanderers on a Monday night the other week, and we were there live on Talksport. He had to make 3 big saves in that game, and they walked away with 3 points and 3 goals. And Evangelos Marinakis will be very satisfied with what he has seen up in the corner of the Trent end and the Brian Clough stand, right at the very top, sitting there in the front row on his own and taking in another good performance from his team. He's an ambitious owner, and they are fulfilling ambitions. Here is Awoniyi down the right side into the penalty, chops back in on his left foot, comes back out to Sangare, he goes down, falls to Williams, who smashes it into the net. It's 6. Confusion at the back by Brighton. Forest taking advantage. Awoniyi selling Van Hecker a dummy and sending the ball infield. The referee, I think, will consult with VAR to see whether or not he thinks this is going to be allowed. But Nico Williams is sliding over into the corner to celebrate what he thinks is his first goal of the season. But it's going to be chalked off, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what the referee sees. Sangare was trying to get a penalty.
Well, hold on, I don't think it is. No, Williams is still celebrating. They're waving away Van Hecker. I think this is going to be given, you know. It was a save by Verbruggen, it came back out. The claim was handball by Sangare as he was felled by Minter, but I think it would have been a foul on Sangare anyway if it hadn't have been converted by Williams. So the referee has decided that as a result of that, it was accidental handball. He wasn't the next player. He wasn't the player that put the ball in the back of the net. Therefore, the goal is allowed, correctly so. It's 6-0.
Well, Sangare was goal. Sangare was adamant that he was fouled and brought down for a penalty. The ball's dropped there, and Williams just helps it into the roof of the net. And the worst case scenario, 9 minutes overtime. Brighton have got insult to injury. Where 9 minutes have come from, I don't know. Do they want 9 minutes? I don't think either team do, to be fair.
Well, I'll tell you who does want 9 minutes. The geezer who backed 7-0. And they're going to get it, because the ball's with Sogga. It is low into the corner, and it is 7-0. Jota Silva from the edge of the penalty area. A back pass from O'Reilly, given away by Verbruggen, straight to Jota Silva on the edge of the box. He returned it with interest, and it's 7th heaven for Nottingham Forest.
Well, when you talk about statement results and performances, this has been absolutely incredible by Nottingham Forest. It really is. I'm just seeing Murillo there, just on the edge of the pitch. He was substituted earlier. He's got a Forest flag round his neck, celebrating the goal. This is a flagship day. And the owner's cracked into, well, I would say a smile, but there isn't one there.
He's still not smiling, but he's bubbling inside. That was an absolutely dreadful goal to give away. Bart Verbruggen, who is a very good goalkeeper, but occasionally does make a mistake, and he's done that there. He's just passed the ball straight to Jota Silva, who's turned it over on the edge of the area, and he's slid it under the goalkeeper and straight into the net for 7-0 to Brighton and Hove Albion. They have been beaten by Nottingham Forest 7-0. It's one of those days where on your teletext machine or the Vidi printer on the old grandstand they would have to spell it out in letters. 7. And Nottingham Forest are going to go level on points with Arsenal as a result. 93 seconds between those last 2 goals for Forest. And they have absolutely revelled in what has been a spectacular performance.
Yeah, and the scoreline as well. You've got to turn around and say that if you are going to finish in the upper echelons of the league, a goal difference might be helpful to you as well.
Yeah, it makes a massive difference, doesn't it? Especially because they were certainly behind the 8 ball as far as that was concerned with Arsenal and Manchester City prior to the start of the day, Stuart. But when you look at the table now, their goal difference is up to plus 13, which after last week it taken such a battering, you didn't see that coming.
Well, quite incredible scoreline, really is. And the performance probably matches the scoreline. There's been substitutions made, but it's not affected the performance of the team.
Well, they have now got they're only 4 goals behind Manchester City, but they're 6 points in front of them, and it could be a significant weekend, because whatever happens as the ball goes into the box and it's steered away by Morata, whatever happens in that game tomorrow between Arsenal and Manchester City, Forest benefit in some way, shape or form. If it's a draw, both of those 2 teams closest to them drop points. If Arsenal win, City are 6 points behind them on the same number of games played, and if Arsenal lose, then there's a possibility that they could catch them.
Yeah, as I say, there's plenty available now, and Forest will the confidence.
They might go for 8 here because it's been picked up and played forward down the left by Elanga and into Jota Silva. Elanga's on the left hand side, his cross is blocked by Minte and it goes out for a corner. Well, I tell you what, Nottingham Forest ain't managing the game out, are they?
Well, listen, every man is just enjoying the game. They're enjoying their football, they got their tails up, everyone wants the ball, and why wouldn't you?
I remember their last win by this margin, April 1991, they beat Chelsea here. You were involved in it.
Yeah, scored a couple that day, I believe.
Here's the corner, taken by Elanga as they look to eclipse that scoreline. Comes out to the edge of the area after being headed away. It's sent wide towards the left-hand side, and there's space for Jota Silva here. They're queuing up at the back post. He comes towards Awoniyi. He brings it down. He feels he was nudged to the ground. The referee's not giving anything there, but they still come forward. Dominguez scoops it out to the left. Jota Silva. They're queuing up again, and he shoots it through the 6-yard box, and it's right through the danger zone and out the other side and out for a goal kick. And I tell you what, if I was the Brighton manager, I'd be saying to the 4th official, listen, they've won it, forget the 9 added minutes, let's just get out of here quickly.
There's no doubt, as I say, Forest scored, the ball went up 9 minutes, you thought things couldn't get any worse than that, and all of a sudden the ball hits the back of your net, and Forest have had 2 good chances to extend it.
And they keep coming forward on the edge of the box. There's quite a few behind the goal away to our right-hand side who are screaming, I'm a Brighton fan, get me out of here. It's their worst league defeat since losing 9-0 to Middlesbrough on the opening day of the second-tier season of 1958. Here is Evan Ferguson playing the ball down the right-hand side for Brighton as they look to just run out time. They're probably trying to manage the game now. Into Matt O'Reilly. Out to Ruter. It's Nottingham Forest 7 here. Brighton and Hove Albion 0.
I tell you what, I've got to give credit to the Brighton fans. They're near enough all there. You know, a full section. Most teams, I would have thought, would have headed for the exit, but not them. And I think they're cheering actually the shot on target.
Well, they've had a few shots on target, Stuart. They've had 64% of the ball in the game. They've had 200 more passes than Nottingham Forest. They've had 5 shots on target. Nottingham Forest have had 9 shots on target and scored 7.
Yeah. The levels of clinical finishing has been absolutely amazing.
It's been amazing to watch Nottingham Forest in this mood. 7-0, their biggest win since 1991. When they beat Chelsea here on this ground on a sunny April day. And this is a day that will long be remembered by the banks of the River Trent, the 7th home win this season. It takes Forest level on points with Arsenal. Forest finished 17th last season, 6 points clear of the relegation zone. They had a 4-point deduction, but many didn't believe that this would be the season that they had. They were throwing away points last season. They couldn't defend, conceding silly goals, but this has been completely a different experience. Ilanga, infield to Dominguez. Lovely touch through the legs of the defender, and then back out to the left-hand side. They're showboating now, Nottingham Forest, as this game comes to its conclusion. We've played 8 minutes of added time. The ball's just gone out of play on this near touchline as Cheltenham get a late winner at Whaddon Road against Chesterfield. 1-0 up there in League Two. Stevenage have beat Exeter. Barnsley have drawn with Burton. Plymouth have beaten West Brom. Norwich have beaten Watford. And Bristol City have hung on against Oxford despite the fact they were down to 9 players. Brighton here look punch drunk. They can't get hold of the ball.
No, they can't. I mean, Forest are so quick. They're manoeuvring the ball, 1 and 2 touch football, overloads in certain areas.
Ilanga forward. Minte tries to get it out of harm's way, but Dominguez has got it back. Another back heel. It's all swagger and style from Nottingham Forest. And then Dominguez kicks it away, and he's going to get told off for that. And it's going to be a free kick just to see out the final few seconds of what has been a harrowing day for Brighton, and a wonderful one at the City Ground.
I tell you what, when I jumped in my car this morning to come up to here, I thought this would be a closer game. I thought it'd be a good game, an open game, but it's been an absolute treat of football, hasn't it, Sam?
Oh, it's been brilliant. And do you know what? Brighton actually have played their part because they're so open and aggressive. It's allowed Nottingham Forest to play their football. In a sense, some of that is a bit naive on their part because by playing into their hands, they've gifted them the game. But Forest have taken their chances. And this is a team that will not go away. This is a team whose performance demands a standing ovation from their former captain. Stuart Pearce stands with the rest of the City Ground and applauds an almost magnificent 7-goal winning performance from Nottingham Forest. Last week the Tricky Trees had a tricky trip to the south coast, but they are back on solid ground here by the banks of the Trent. It's their 7th win in 9 games at the fortress that is the City Ground, where Forest are underscoring why they're heading for a first European campaign since 1995. They're powered by a teak-tough centre forward by the name of Wood, who plays an amazing part today, getting his 2nd hat-trick under Nuno Espirito Santo and scoring 3 goals on this ground to celebrate an unbelievable 7-goal victory. Nuno Espirito Santo has cultivated and crafted a side of spirit, endeavour and ruthlessness. 9 shots on target, 7 goals. They now sit on the shoulders of giants. Liverpool couldn't win here. Brighton couldn't either. Arsenal and City have still got to come here. They're probably not going to win the title, but they might have a say in who does. Nottingham Forest 7, Brighton 0.
Sam, thank you very much. Do you know, as Stuart said when he got in his car this morning, he didn't think he would be watching this. What a day. Smiles all around. Nuno Espirito Santo, the Nottingham Forest players taking in the adulation just like they deserve. The fans are absolutely loving it. Rocking all over the world is ringing out here at the City Ground. What a day this has been for Nottingham Forest. After being thumped by Bournemouth last weekend, they needed a response. Nuno Espirito Santos changed the shape. He shook things up a little bit, and we weren't sure how this was going to end up, but I don't think anyone would have predicted that 7-0 victory. It's been incredible to watch. They have been absolutely clinical out on the field in every single sense. This is a side who are efficient. This is a side who are well drilled. This is a side who are organised. And as we saw out there, Stuart Pearce, this is a side that are loving where they are at the moment. They are enjoying themselves because this is beyond anything they could have imagined after last season. They're in 3rd place, level on points with Arsenal, 6 points clear of Manchester City, who are below them in 4th. Europe well and truly on for this team. Stuart, as a former Nottingham Forest man who knows exactly the heartbeat of this club, the DNA of this club, how are you feeling and what does it mean to everyone in this stadium?
Well, listen, irrelevant to my links with this football club, this football pitch here has seen very few performances over 50 or 100 years that have matched what I've just seen out there today, and they've had European Cup winning teams out there as well. The manager, credit to him, he tinkered with the formation slightly today, paid dividends. The team worked tirelessly in and out of possession. They were clinical, scoring goals. Every element of football and effort that you want to see from your team, the fans have been treated to it today. I weren't sure. People were saying to me, can Forest get in Europe? Can they get in the Champions League? I've been convinced today.
Yeah.
Not only can they get in Europe, I've been convinced they'll finish in the Champions League place, because they've got players coming back from injury as well. The squad's looking bigger, it's looking stronger. They've got everything. They've got a bit. They can defend stoutly. The goalkeeper gets them out of trouble when needed. You name it, Forest have got it.
Yeah, and do you know what? As you say that, when they were doing that little bit of showboating after they'd scored the 7th, I did think to myself, I wonder what they're going to be like in Europe, like watching them against the bigger teams. Because if you look at them today, I mean, possession-wise, we know that they play with less possession than most teams. 37.4 possession. Look what they did with it. They had almost half the passes that Brighton had. Accurate passes, pretty much half. Passing accuracy, 77% against Brighton's 85%. I mean, they are just so efficient. How does a team do that?
They're just coached well. They're coached very well. They've got a centre forward that knows what area to get in to score goals. They're effective on the counter-attack. They run with the ball. The likes of Alanga and Gibbs-White were outstanding today as a pairing. They run with the ball, they run without the ball. And I'll tell you what today, what impressed me the most, the pair of them run back without the ball to help their teammates.
Absolutely. It's a real team effort, isn't it? I'm going to put you on the spot now because I feel like it still could be a hard one, even though there are some obvious candidates. It's time to pick our man of the match with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
Man of the match on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day.
Go on, Stuart, who are you going to go with?
Well, I've got a centre forward that's got a hat-trick. I've had Gibbs-White that's run tirelessly, that's created, that's broken up play. The goalkeeper's made 3 brilliant saves. It's the worst decision I've got to make all day. I'm going to go for Alanga. Yeah. I think continually he was on the pitch for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I've got it. He set up things. He done everything, Alanga. And for him to surpass a centre forward that got a hat trick and Gibbs-White, that tells you how high esteem I viewed his performance today.
He actually got a hat-trick of assists today. It's only the second player to get that in a Premier League game this season. The only other player who's done that is Cole Palmer. So I believe you're right to go for Anthony Alanga because of the endeavour, as you say. He's not just up the pitch, he's way back helping his fullbacks as well.
Brilliant. It's been a treat. I mean, listen, I love football, but this has been a treat for all of us today, make no mistake.
Absolutely right. Thank you very much, Stuart Pearce. That was our man of the match from today's game with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Anthony Alanga gets it from Stuart Pearce.